at 10.
Good.
I gave her your contact info last week. I did your selection email, and then, the one that Jen, so.
A little bit of freedom. Started setting up some fishing
That's
rods.
amazing.
The thing is, I won't be able to be there, because
No, they'll
I'm
be,
here at 9 o'clock for a school class.
they'll be.
I'll just set up.
I'll tell her.
Just pick it up. and
Yeah.
Drop it out.
You're so kind.
Okay,
That's
that's why I have those rods, and then we've been catching fish in rods. So.
Have you? That's awesome.
It's
There. I mean, yeah.
sometimes.
Somebody-
People here, otherwise, you know,
Hey, Bob.
we'll be red rover,
Waving.
Here it comes.
I see award one.
Hey.
That's not very executive looking. I don't know.
I mean, John's a Hawaiian shirt. That's an entire.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, but Robin's gonna dress up in the executive session.
Oh, shoot, I missed the memo too.
You have so many of them. We all love coming suits. To be appropriate attire.
I'll wear a ball gown next one. I can dig out one of my old prom dresses.
Good to see you, Rob.
I didn't see it from you too. Hey, Tom. How are you? Good. Ah. Bob? Yeah, I don't know if you guys live under a rock or what, but. Are you insinuating?
I wouldn't mind. That's a nice lead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rob. Please.
And so many more.
No, I know. This happened Saturday.
Oh,
Cool.
very nice.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Here's it. One more time.
Did you see that?
Isn't that every dad's dream, just to hear an announcer say your kid's name that way,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
This
afternoon.
I did. I found one, so I had stolen one, so I gave
You
that
need
to
an
you.
extra?
Well, someone will.
I actually have.
Jerry.
No, he usually brings his own. I'll put it back in the.
It's supposed to be this.
In the lender pile?
Yeah, it was. No, there wasn't any explanation, I'm not that I didn't, but I, so I sent him. I just- This is the one that's what it is. It was doing the original one, so I checked it even on.
It is Wayne. Hey, Dwayne.
Wait. It's not like I was here.
So I'm thinking it's,
You can't. You're not leading if you weren't here.
With the traffic. It was like 3 blocks, 5 blocks. No, I'm lucky. 9 hours.
Okay.
My.
Yeah. What?
My outside is there like 26 block.
Also, are you doing that one of those?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want us to be very hard to
How you do it? Well, it's bad. It's how they're kind of doing like that, working like that. Right, exactly. No, that's really. Yeah. Think about it's good to see you.
So.
All of that. One and a half. My right leg, and my left leg doesn't have the same. I think that's my old age, like telling you back. Look, you.
I'm thinking getting started on the.
Next time.
So.
Sold it, so it was like just the cherry on top of the sundae.
I can tell you. Well, nice year.
And then like me and do
Yes.
one day closer.
Did you go up on the day?
Tired. That's right. Yeah.
We not.
I would assume so.
You know, about where my hell's able to.
Now I'm curious.
It's gonna be Hell's Angels Tuesday or something. Good catch on Friday.
Solidarity. This mountain, I think, is really changed.
Kidding.
3 months of the church of Satan.
Everybody wrong. In 9 days. Here.
You know me, I'll open that.
Well, there was no one. I gave where.
All right, everybody, I'm showing 6:01. Let's go ahead and get this show on the road. We've got a lot in front of us. So I'll call the regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen of the town of Georgetown to order. It is Tuesday, May 14th, 2024. And let's go ahead and start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call is next. I am Lynette Kelsey, Police Judge. Rob Connor.
Here.
Amanda Cooper. Here. Don Jennings.
Here.
Dwayne Gazinski.
Here.
Mary Smith. Rich Barrows.
Here.
Wonderful. Agenda approval. Anybody have anything they want to add to the agenda?
Yeah, right.
The only thing,
How about subtractions?
okay, no, sorry. I did want to, just make a comment before we go into the tables after audience business on, the commissioners passing, so, but but that's the only thing. Anyone else? Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Audience business. Members of the audience have 5 minutes to present on any matter of interest related to the business of the town that is not already on the agenda. And I know you're here for audience business, Tom?
Okay, I'm Tom Elliott, for anybody that doesn't know me. And I'm here I've heard throughout this month, comments about the remains of the semi that are on the island of I-70. And I'm here to inquire, what has the town done, or what does the town plan to do to get rid of that? Are we going to still go through the Memorial Day weekend with that trash heap sitting there. It seems to me that that could be classified as an attractive nuisance, legally speaking. But I just think it needs to be addressed, and I think you should let the town people know. I haven't heard any reports, and maybe I've missed them, but I haven't heard anyone from the town saying why it's taking so long to be there. I've heard that it's insurance companies. Are we at their mercy? Is there anything that we can do, or do you plan on doing anything? That's why I'm here. And please address not me, but the town.
Sure, sure. Don't disagree with anything you said. You or John have the latest?
Well, we did post something on the town Facebook page,
Correct.
so that's been posted. But John gave me information. There's 3 different insurance companies working on it, but I'll let John give more.
Okay, good.
Yes, picturesque trailer. There are 2 insurance companies involved, with it. One insurance for the trailer, one insurance for the cargo. The insurance for the trailer cannot move the trailer without the cargo first being disposed of. The guy who was representative of the insurance company for the cargo was out and should be working on that. It was supposed to be after the 7th that they were gonna be coming in and getting that. And then they can remove the remains of the trailer. It is out of my jurisdiction. I cannot touch it because insurance owns it. If I could, I mean, if it was a whole trailer, if it was something I can move, I'd tow it down to the chain down station and say, come get it from there. But that thing is gonna crumble as soon as somebody starts messing with it. So there's really nothing I can do at this point in time. All I can do is stay on state patrol, who is on the insurance company, to get that thing out of here. They red tagged it, so they obviously, I don't know behind the scenes what Sergeant Kessler is working on to get that thing out of here, but he is the CSP representative who's been working with the insurance companies to do that. That is all I have. I wish I had something more definitive for, but
Okay,
It just seems like the citizens should be informed what is happening there. And I can see a couple of adventurous residents or non-residents some evening getting hold of some of those barrels and rolling them down the on-ramp.
well,
I'll bet you something happens then. So let's not let that happen.
right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Thanks.
thanks, Al.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Anyone else for audience business?
We have just a question about that. This is like a kind of a hazard to wildlife as well, seeing that there's food or beverage getting with the barrels being concentrated orange juice.
John, do you know if,
Wait, I mean, what is does start leaking, is that gonna pose a danger to wildlife, or will wildlife try to go in?
No, it's
Orange juice?
it's a citrus liquid. It's like orange concentrate.
Yeah,
for orange
orange,
juice.
yeah.
No, it's not gonna affect wildlife. It's not gonna do any harm
I
to
mean, there
them.
was one leaking like a couple days after it, but I guess.
There's no harm to the environment. If anything were to leak out of those barrels, so
But would it attract? Wow.
if it hasn't by now, it won't. And it hasn't.
I haven't seen.
So, yeah, I think we're good on that.
Okay. Anyone online for audience business?
They are not, there is somebody online, but they're not saying they want to speak.
Okay, all right, very good. Then we will move on. So before we start tackling the town business, I just wanted to make mention of Sean Wood's passing a week ago yesterday. The commissioners are planning to do a commemoration during their meeting, their regular meeting next week on Tuesday. So watch out for that agenda, and all are welcome to participate. They're setting aside, you can make a comment in public comment if you like, so just wanted to make everybody aware of that. Okay, on to the payables. Payables that we've got tonight are from April 19th to May 9th. 2024. Any questions or comments on the payables?
What was the rock scope evaluation? I might have missed that, because I missed the meeting on the night. That was under HDR engineering.
It's a partial billing for the study up on Loop Drive
Okay,
for the rockfall mitigation.
got it.
I do have something to add, not add to the tables, but just explain with Georgetown Cannabis. So we agreed on a figure which was just over 28,000. And we are giving them a credit of just over 9 and maybe it was 29,000, and then a refund of 18,000, which is in the payables. So that will go out tomorrow.
Okay. Any other questions on the payables? Do we have a motion to accept the payables?
I have a motion to accept the payables dated 4/19 through 5/9/2024.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the payables. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We'll take the minutes separately. So the first ones we have are from our regular meeting on April 23rd, 2024. Any comments or corrections on those minutes? And you said one little typo on page 3 that I already gave to Jen, so. Let me remind them.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes dated April 23rd, 2024 as amended.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the regular meeting on April 23rd, 2024 as amended. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, we've got the minutes from our special meeting, which was on May 6th, 2024. Okay, I just wanted somewhere, I don't know where you decided to add that, Jen, but we needed to show that Joe Rivera was also there. He joined for the executive session. So,
Yes.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes, special meeting minutes of May 6th, 2024 as amended.
I'll second.
it's been moved and seconded to approve the special meeting minutes of May 6th, 2024 as amended. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, next we've got the appointment of Lexi, let me get her name right, Berger, to fill a vacant seat on the Parks and Rec Commission. You wanna make a?
Presentation?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Okay.
I have not met her, but if I had to make an assessment, it would be that I have to make a neutral one, but I'm sure that Steve Calabani and the folks on the board have a very good judge of character, and I'm sure she's fine.
Where does she live? Do we know?
The old one's at 708 7th Street, the house at the corner of Brentland and 7th Jack.
Oh, okay, the Brown House?
The brown, yes, yes, ma'am. Yeah, across the street,
Right on.
pink house there.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
okay. How long has she lived? Do we know? Do we know anything?
I know her, I mean, yeah.
Have you been around a lot?
Yeah,
Okay, I just, you know. I mean,
it's nice to know a little bit of background.
Yeah,
I mean, her letter's great, with my extensive background in recreation and tourism policy and management, I believe as a resident of Georgetown might be a great fit. And she's expressed her interest to Beth Luther, and I think it's always great when people want to join all the commissions, because we need that. So
I do too, I just never saw that letter.
on the past one.
Nine, oh, wasn't it? Oh, yes, we did. Sorry, I don't tend to look on the back of it. Okay, very good. Let's see it. Okay, awesome.
Well, I'll make a motion to appoint Lexi Berger as a regular member to fill the vacant seat on the Parks and Recreation Commission.
I'll second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to appoint Lexi Berger to the Parks and Rec Commission. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have Bob Hamilton, and he has several things regarding the Strauss Park refresh.
I'm gonna take advantage of the new code.
All right,
I'll try to be quick and brief. The first item is I'm asking for an amendment to the Neil Lunsford contract for the hardscape and plantings in the park. To increase it from, it was like 120,000 or 122,000 originally, and up to 127,000. And $127,011.44. And what that's for is for them to go ahead and put the drip irrigation, just the emitter heads in the little 1/4-inch tubing from the main line. The town is gonna do the irrigation system in its entirety except for that. The reason they're going to do that, and we agreed upon that, was because it makes more sense for them to put them in when they put the plants in. That way everything gets hooked up and they're watering correctly. And the other thing was to add a 12-foot pine tree. They have based it on a Colorado spruce. I'm gonna look into maybe an Engelmann or something that will be not quite as large diameter, but a substantial tree to go in and replace the cotton. That's what that additional cost of $7,000 or so covers.
So this has already been approved and we are just amending it up.
So Bob, I might have made a mistake, and I didn't, it would be good to clarify. I took your notes and tried to, condense it, but the amendment, how much is that? Cause I thought it was total of $2,848. So I might have gotten this wrong.
I don't have.
okay, so no, so in the detail that came with it. So we've got 1685 0.76 for the irrigation system components that they're installing, and then the 2845.20 is for the tree. So those are individual.
Okay,
That's
so
that's not a total.
Those are individual ones.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
And it's all within the budget that we have, so. Updating paperwork.
Okay. Okay,
You want to do
Why
a
don't-
motion or something?
yeah, why don't we take these one at a time? Unless, I think it's, well, there's less confusion if we just do the motions for the items as you're presenting them.
I agree, I think that'd be easier.
Yeah.
So one for the drip, one for the evergreen?
Yeah, the motion's fine. It's.
Oh, okay. All right.
So,
All right, I'll move to approve the quote from Neil Lunsford to purchase the drip emitter installation for $1,685.76. And provide 12-foot to 14-foot evergreen tree for $2,845.20.
and not just provide, it's actually planned, right?
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah,
right.
Motion to provide. They just hand us this 14.
I know.
Provide them,
Just
provide them
clarify.
plans.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
Got
make a motion, you agree to plant the tree.
Provide them by meals,
yeah,
not Rob.
correct.
I'll
Correct.
second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the Neil Lunsford quote for both the sprinkler, the irrigation system components and the tree. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay,
Next item is from local electric, the people that did started the electrical installation last year, and we told them we can only pay them so much money, and they said, okay, we'll finish it up this year, so I asked them to update their invoice, or update their contract, to take into account what happened last year, as well as add in some additional items. Which you have in front of you, should be their updated contract, with the remaining amount to go of $57,368. And that puts in the credits for all the work they did last year. It pulls out the ice melt system for the roof as an option, which we're not planning to do that this year. So that's the cost of the remaining work. Just as an update, they received the light pole bases yesterday. So they have all the material to start, and they're planning to start on June 3rd. So that fits in our schedule.
When you said this was all within the budget.
Yeah.
Okay.
so not all of it though is covered by the grant,
This is all covered, well,
because some of these
there's
are
a couple
for the
pieces that are
parking
not
lot.
covered by. Correct.
Okay,
Mary and I will sort that out when they do that.
okay, and some of the confusion I had when I was reviewing this was that, you know, we've got the park itself. And that's got the grant that goes with it, but only specific things. Are covered by the grant, whatever was applied for under that grant. And then the parking lot is financially separate, isn't it?
But
Or,
the lighting for the parking lot was all in the grant, I mean, that was in the
Okay.
grant.
okay, that I didn't understand, okay,
The only thing that's not in the grant is some outlets inside
okay,
the storage area. And the outlets that we're gonna put on the front of the counters, the 2 new counters that we're building up. So
and,
it's a couple $1,000 at most, it's not
right,
much.
right,
The rest of it's covered with it.
right, but the surfacing of the parking lot is not, I mean, it's kind of,
No, that's not.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, any other questions for Bob on this one? Anybody?
I moved to approve. Right.
Making for easy minutes for you, John.
I moved to approve the quote. From Neil's Lunsford to.
No, it's not Neil's Lunsford. Local electric.
I'll jump in and do it. I made it, yeah, can you, thanks.
And jump into it.
Oh, here it is. Here it is. Sorry.
That's all right, go ahead, Dwayne.
Okay, I want to cut you off. I need to approve the quote from Local Electric LLC for an amount not to exceed $57,368.
I'll second.
Okay.
Never cease that me.
Okay,
Didn't have to read it.
it's been moved and seconded to approve the quote from Local Electric LLC. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay,
Next item is the monthly status report. And that should be pretty self-explanatory. One of the things that I talked about last month with everybody was that at that point in time, a month ago, we were looking at probably being a bit over budget for the grant money because of restructuring who does what on the work and getting the updated quote from the electrical contractor. We're projected to be a little under budget. About 302,000 versus the 306,000 budget for the, the reimbursable part of the project. And that does include the sidewalk, which is technically and the curb in the parking lot. So that all that concrete work is in the base grant funded work. And we'll talk, the last item, I think is item E, we can talk more about this, but I'm pretty comfortable with all the numbers. Basically, there's 3 parts to the remainder of South Park. The grant funded stuff for 306,000. The additional work which is really the concession areas and the storage area build out, and then the glue to get everything done, which is miscellaneous project support. We're a budget of about 10,000. And then the parking lot, depending on what you decide to do there, expanding it, not expanding it, paving it, not, whatever we come up with on that, and we'll talk about that next. Two updates to the schedule. Lunsford was planning to start last week. We missed all last week because of weather. They started Monday and they're making excellent progress. They put down the first piece of flagstone this afternoon. And they were still putting flagstone when I came by there to get to here. So I'm a lot more optimistic today than I was last week at this time. That they will, they'll get pretty well done with all the hardscape work in there by Memorial Day weekend. So that target, I think, is still very real. And I did hear back from the electrician, local electric today, the poles that they've been waiting on since last year. Finally came in yesterday and he said he's got everything he needs. It's on his schedule to start, the first week of June, like June 3rd, or whatever that date is. So everything's coming together to be pretty well set. Plantings we're planning to do probably in June, after Memorial Day, when, there's only a 80% chance of another blizzard. I did talk to them about getting a narrower tree, because I agree that was expressed as a concern if we put a big blue spruce down in the corner there, we'll lose half the park.
Yeah.
So we'll look at getting some kind of a more confined, 8 inch diameter, but when it's fully grown. It won't be a problem for a while. So if you have any questions on Stroud Park, just general progress and where we are, I'd be happy to answer those.
We can go over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I didn't, there's nothing, no action, I was asked before on that, so that's good. Update on the parking lot expansion. A couple things were brought up last meeting. We wanted to get a professional to look at the tree in the parking lot, and we did. Lamb came out and he said tree's healthy, good shape. I brought that information to Parks and Rec and to Business Promotions, and both of those committees unanimously changed their mind that we don't want to expand the parking lot. We like the tree. I also got some costs to replace caliper inches. It's roughly 20 inches in diameter, waist height at the base of the tree. Roughly $1,000 an inch for replacing the tree. So you look at $20,000 to put more trees somewhere else. That would be an install cost. I also looked.
It's not just the cost of replacing the tree, it's the demolition of that whole area, rebuilding
Oh, yeah.
rock walls. There's a lot more to it.
Yeah, and I have those costs, I worked out the cost of all of that on page 4 of the report. And then I kind of priced things up to give you a shopping list of what you want to do.
Mhm.
To remove the tree, we have a quote for $1,700 to, dig out the parking lot and expand it about, $9,900. Rebuild the rock wall, $8,400. Install a concrete curb, and I'll talk about that in a minute on drainage. I looked at that and we'll put the best thing to do for drainage is put a small retaining wall, where the low spot is, where they park the cars as they go into the apartment, and build that area up about 6 or 8 inches. So I've got the concrete work in there for that. And then to go ahead and excavate, put a sub base down, wheel stops, and replace the tree. The expanded parking lot, before you get into paving options, is about $50,000. Versus take the current lot, fix the drainage problems, put gravel down, and call it good. Well, not really put the gravel down, that, the gravel's in the next line below, about 8,500. So. For 6 parking spaces, it's a lot of money. I would like a decision from this board on which way to go. And then, depending on which way you go, you can look at the options for putting down 3/4 inch crushed stone, which would basically be a gravel crushed stone, a little better for, keeping the run down and stuff like that. You'll have to go ahead and maintain it more often. Versus some kind of a impervious surface. Pervious surface like gravel paved. About 26,000 to 34 or 35 rather. And about the same price if you put down asphalt, so. Doing a dirt type gravel finish with crushed stone, $5,000 to $6,000 range to finish that out. So those are kind of your options, 13,500 for doing the minimum versus 86,400 for doing the maximum, including the margin. So it kind of gives you brackets around it.
Would we still, if we went with the crushed stone gravel option, would we still have a fair amount of dust blown?
I think quite a bit less than what you have now.
Less than now,
Because it should be a heavier surface.
one would think, but.
I mean, I've got
that's-
crushed stone on my driveway and, it's at the point now where I probably need to add a little bit more, but, we don't get dust from it at all.
Okay, because the businesses in that vicinity do get a lot of wind blown
You
dust.
probably put down, 1.5 to 2 inches on top of road base. So it's gonna compact in and it gives you a good surface, hopefully it'll drain evenly and not get a bunch of mud holes.
Okay,
Was there talk, later on, we're gonna talk about the community closing the streets where
Yeah.
we're gonna lose some parking places possibly with that, or not, I couldn't quite tell. If we did something like Boulder, we'd probably lose a little bit. In front of the restaurants, and I'm concerned we're gonna just not have enough parking places with that in mind. And then the value of those spaces definitely goes up.
How many spaces, like, in a maximum capacity, do you get, are we able to get in that box?
We said 6.
Like 30,
You're gonna
it's
add-
like 30,
I'm like.
13,
13 is the maximum.
it seemed like a 30% more.
Oh, excuse me, 16.
Yeah, 16.
16.
16 plus the handicap, so that makes it 70.
so we right now have 11.
And along the street, there's about 5, I think.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we have 11 plus a van right now, including the space that's always occupied by the capital. To the apartment,
Right,
but that's our space.
yeah,
I think we have to respect the fact that 2 of the commissions that were involved in these conversations felt that improving the parking lot, but not expanding it, was.
I'm just not sure they were aware of, well, maybe promotions was, but
We weren't looking at it exactly like that though, but I'd like to bring that up as a possibility and talk about. I think what I might be suggesting is option B. If we're trying to encourage more activity downtown and we've made these great improvements to Strauss Park. And we know we have 2 businesses across the street that offer outside dining just as is. We should be improving that parking lot to a degree where our gentle mountain breezes are not disturbing. And I don't think just putting that gravel down and as it, is gonna be enough.
I think the best option would be the gravel pit,
Which
which is the permeable.
Permeable, but
surface.
a harder.
But it's actually, I think, 1.5 inch thick grid on top of geofabric, so I mean, the dirt is underneath, the only stuff that, anything that accumulates from the surface you know, you'll have to deal with that.
Is it easy to plow?
Hmm?
Is it easy to plow?
Supposedly it's plowable.
Okay.
I mean, it's used here in Colorado.
I was looking at option C for that reason, because I think if you really take care of that surface and make it, you know, it could be a parking lot, it could be a vendor, a place for vendors, it could be so many other things. If you pour the money into making sure that it's more versatile. And also that it drains properly, but I mean, still, I wonder if, you know, while we have the opportunity, do we wanna maybe pour the money into something so that it is, it's a little more diverse rather than just a parking lot. It could be a space for, you know, other things.
Every time, I don't disagree with you, but I will tell you, and from BPC, anytime you brought up closing that lot down, it was very controversial.
Oh, okay.
There was moments in time where it was suggested to possibly place food trucks there, or to shut it down for farmers markets. Farmageddon, shall we say. It was a trying and tragic time, but that parking lot is hot real estate. And it's very difficult to reach the conversation, but I do not disagree that that should be our sole basis of decision
Just
making.
a thought.
No, you're right.
Just a thought, if, you know, if that's swimming upstream, then obviously, you know, I didn't know that.
There were some concerns from members of business promotions too, though, about paving it asphalt, you know, in city level, why, as opposed to leaving it as some more of a permeable, the fit for the town.
Yeah, I know, speaking as a DRC will push back heavy on,
On paving,
yeah,
got it,
Okay,
asphalt.
got it.
okay, asphalt paving.
Oh, even option B?
No,
Oh, yeah. I know, I'm just saying.
Well, that's good to know, though.
Yeah,
That's why we're fighting ourselves.
Yeah, you know, that's.
When there's not, perhaps in between that.
Well, and so,
So they
what
put the
about,
blade higher on the snow plow, but they don't, you know.
yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing. If they drop the plow to plow the snow and the ice and the dirt underneath it, then yeah, it'll mess it up, but they can raise the plow. And that gets a lot of sun, so that parking lot goes up pretty quick in terms of that also.
and BPC and parks wanna leave the tree,
Save the tree.
save the tree. So really, we're looking at the best option is in the current lot scope with the decision about what start. Unless we come back to your concern, which is valid.
If they want space off the street, you kind of got to some parking places. You know, the tree could be mitigated elsewhere. You know, the laws of the tree, I don't
But if
see
the
that.
street is closed, then it really doesn't.
Well, it'd be partially, so it's usually you have another parking. I'm just saying, you know, you look at Boulder and you go down there and they have those spaces along, you know, that you could have traffic moving down the street because the people would be protected behind a little fence. I don't know if we're talking about that. 3-foot fence. It's just something to consider. I don't know if that was presented.
We parked, I mean, during the hockey event, and I know that wasn't down here. But I mean, we were able to access a lot of parking in other parts of, I mean, it doesn't necessarily help the down here problem, but. I'm trying to think of a kind of a both ways scenario, because I don't disagree, but I also don't want to spend a lot of money on a parking lot in the tree.
We're only looking at 6
So
spots.
it's 6 spots, yeah, it feels like a lot for 6.
I
Yeah,
mean,
it is 6
I think
spots,
there's free parking.
6 spots, so like 6 spots.
Right.
I also think if the other commissions don't want to hurt the tree, and keep bad people to
Save the
hurt the
tree.
tree.
That was
Well,
a
it's-
loud message.
I'm just saying, you know, we would look really bad if everybody's saving the tree and then we pull it out of the ground.
We're like,
Yes.
But maybe,
like you're gonna already plant it, remember? That's planted.
Part of the discussion at one of the two commissions, I don't remember which one, was there's other parking that people could go. I mean, there's street parking, there's the Third Street parking lot, which is not that far away. So maybe an awareness campaign or signage or something that says, hey, there's other places to park other than right across the street from the restaurant. So I mean, that was brought up at one of the commissions as something that, as an alternative to, you know, moving, taking the tree out and digging out the parking.
The map also is very preliminary and not something we have to decide necessarily. You know, you guys actually don't decide it until applications would come in, so it's very open for discussion and change.
Are they talking about using street spaces? Is that part of the scope of the thing? Or-
For the code,
Yeah.
My other caveat would be that if you look at Idaho Springs, they just did, it's their third or fourth year, they take all of their street parking. At this point, it's gone
In,
And-
yeah, in the summer.
in the summer. And
In
they
the winter,
leaned them
some.
on and some, but they've never brought back quite as much as they had
No.
before.
No.
And they can, and for some reason, because, I mean, they don't, I don't think it's hurting them, and they have paid for the situation, which we don't have. So, yeah, oh, meetings.
We're digressing from this one.
So I do like the idea of keeping the tree since it is healthy. And I'd be in favor of trying the gravel, first. And see how that works. And then we could go to the permeable at a later date if we decide the gravel still has way too much dust. I mean,
It's not so much the dust, I think it's the plow. If you wanna plow that thing, I
okay,
think you're going to probably get a mismanagement of gravel allotment.
Very good.
But
okay.
remember, we're fighting DRC on this, they don't want,
Well, they just don't want asphalt.
The permeable is okay.
Right, but I'm saying as opposed to the paved.
Well, we can't go pay it, we
Or
just
my
have to go
argument
pay the
against
gravel.
So,
That's the,
Permeable.
yeah,
so I move to approve option number 2, the permeable paving not to exceed $34,760.
I'll second.
Actually, if we don't expand the parking, then it's less. It is $26,260.
No,
but we're
it's the
still
total cost,
doing-
Yeah, that's with the 8,000 added in.
34,760.
Yeah, here, this is here. This is from here.
So if you look at the current lot and you look at the 8,500, then you look at the option B, which is 20.
Oh, I see. I
It's
see.
the addition of
I
those
see.
two.
Got it,
That's it.
got it. Okay. Makes sense. Okay, your motion, can you restate that? You went for the,
I move to approve option 2, permeable paving not to exceed $34,760.
okay,
I'll second.
okay. It's been moved and seconded to approve option 2. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay,
I have only one thing. We have no funding identified for this, am I correct, Aaron?
Oh, come
For the parking lot?
The parking lot has,
So that we need to decide where to fund it from.
So it is gonna be in the discussion for ARPA funds. So
Okay.
just so you know, that's
Oh, okay, we have a solution on, but we just haven't got it.
correct.
so I would like to make a motion.
Well, I mean, you give me the answer that that's where our focus should be.
Yeah,
okay.
And then we just need to figure out, do you do it all at once, do you do it in a couple of steps? What do you pay for it? So
Okay.
that's the next discussion. Or the further discussion. Item E was, the park scope and budget, so if you go back to page 3 and 4 on the progress report. No, that's not it. Where did it go? Okay. Page, yeah, 5 and 6. We're all set with the CDOT stuff, so that's all funded. And we're moving down that road with a $306,000 budget. I discussed with Mary, do we have capital funds available in the Parks and Rec budget to fund the $10,000 budget for the new concession area build out, storage room build out. And just a miscellaneous support for the project. And we do have that.
We do as of right now, but depending, I mean, Parks knows all these numbers also.
Yeah.
You know, not dip into
Not
that.
easy, of course. So I guess what I'm asking the board for, if you're in agreement with allocating that, from that capital fund, then we can adopt the budget of the 10,000 there and we'll work to that.
You lost me.
Yeah, okay.
In order to complete to build the new concession area, then, do the utility room in it's a building.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And things like helping Kevin with planting with the irrigation system and all that. That's what the $10,000 budget is for.
And Parks and Rec has that.
And they have that in.
And I thought Steve approved that, didn't
Did he what?
he? Didn't he approve that?
I don't go to the Parks and.
See, I missed it. I think I missed one and maybe should we double check and make sure that that's allowable? Through Steve?
Well, not through Steve, but through the whole, yeah, the commission did.
Did they? I mean, you made a presentation. And I wasn't.
I mean, they're aware of this for sure, because we talked about it.
Right, I probably did, but
I don't know that,
there was an approval or everything.
So do we need to approve it if it was their budget?
Well, as long as they're realizing that it's coming out of their budget, so out of their capital line items, so they're not going, okay, well, we're going to do, they have some projects that they put off last year because they did not have the money. So as long as they know it could affect things that they're thinking that they can do this year. But if Bob's gonna have everything wrapped up and said maybe July. So
yeah, well, probably
we're gonna know. what
probably
the
have this
numbers
stuff
are.
wrapped up in mid-June.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in another month, we're gonna know what the numbers are, but I would check with Parks Commission just to make sure that.
Well, why don't we,
That they're aware of
we
it.
call Steve and, like tomorrow and just ask him, what do you think, or does this need a motion?
Well, it has to be a decision of the whole commission, it's not just his.
I just want to check and make sure that he didn't approve it and I'm not remembering.
Do we have their minutes?
I mean, no, not yet.
We are, what was the last meeting?
I mean,
Cause on their last.
I can go look and see if Susan sent them, I don't remember.
We have minutes from them from the Lexi approval. Are they in there?
Oh, we never
Oh,
heard.
yeah.
I mean, do we have time to just go back to a Parks and Rec meeting? Or is it?
Surely, we're working to get that work done, and then
May second.
Gotcha.
Okay.
it may
That's
find out coming out of
I've got May 2nd's minutes.
Yep,
the other.
we all do.
Yeah.
Is there time?
They haven't been approved, they are draft minutes, but, oh, yeah.
But it doesn't say anything in.
Let's see if we still have.
Under Strauss Park updates.
Does,
We've done.
Should-
No, it doesn't
It's
really
all about
mention
the
it.
tree.
And then there was just a motion for 3663 for grant for. This is the May 2nd, minute. We all have the May 2nd minutes.
But it doesn't address this particular question.
so let's just take it back, make sure that Steve's, the committee's okay with it. And I'll make sure that I earmark that as an agenda item.
So the alternative would be for us to go ahead and approve it now. And then we're not forced to actually do the spending if they were to come back to us and say, no, that we want a different direction.
Okay.
I mean,
No, that's okay.
or would you rather wait?
Well, as long as that's, as long as we're not talking about decision, if, all of a sudden you find out, we don't,
Or they have other ideas about
that's what I meant.
the spending.
Well, so then, should we even,
Then,
did I jump too fast? Motion, should I be, we should we be withdrawing that? Because if Parks needs to figure out where they're gonna come up with 50 grand, which ultimately comes.
No, it's 10,000.
I know,
no, it's 50 if you get the.
but if we were
parking lot.
doing the parking lot,
Right.
and if they delayed projects from last year so that they had funds available to finish up this year.
We want to be careful and not make sure we don't commit.
I mean, 44,760.
Definitely, the parking lot is not in their, well,
Okay,
they're not,
That's
having
Okay.
that come out of there, I,
okay.
I know that for sure.
For it to come out of our,
Right.
we're putting the cart before the horse on some of these decisions.
No, but that's the area that the decision's made, they're all just talking about that one little room, $10,000, right? That area. Yeah, that's area in
Right.
the room with heating and whether they wanna do it this year or later. Well, we have to do it because that's where all the irrigation equipment goes, and we're gonna be installing it in that room. So they have money possibly earmarked for that or not? I thought they did, I mean, that was my understanding is that there was money, because their budget was like 400 and some odd thousand.
Right, but
But
that
we're not-
encompass other things like their surveys and their fences and they, well. Our meeting with Beth the other day.
Let's say irrigation.
What do you remember her?
It's in.
Not too many discussions at once.
I remember us discussing it, not that project, but the other project that she was willing to move forward with, that I think we decided to wait. But there was some extra funds that you saw that she,
Well, no, they're going to do that project.
okay,
And that's not coming out of there. I just know that later in our conversation. She wanted to make sure there were still funds in, I mean, all that 400,000 that's in there. Cannot be spent on Strauss Park is what it's saying. So,
Since we're scattered all over here, in your report, you've got the RFP for several park surveys has been placed on hold. Strauss Park is still the major project for 2024. The next major project will be transitioning the basketball court and involving the skateboard halfway. Currently working on getting a DOLA grant to update the renderings for all the parks. So is any of that flexible to?
find 10 grand.
I mean, in my view, Strauss Park is the most important priority. We gotta finish it. We have to finish all the components. We can't leave various pieces undone.
If
Let's
we can't
complete
find
it.
the funding, what I would do would be cut back on some of the concrete work probably in the parking lot. And put that on.
But we think that Parks has, that, I mean,
they do that, well, I know they don't have the money for the parking.
but you do.
But right now, as the numbers that Bob and I discussed, we decided, yes, if it's okay with everybody, we could come up with the extra 10,000.
Out of
But
Parks.
I just, out of the parks capital. But I don't want to cut them short because I know there's these
Well-
other. I mean, I wanna make sure that they're aware of it,
Make aware.
yes.
I agree with, because sometimes other projects have to be postponed to make sure that you have a good product at the end of Strauss Park refresh construction.
Right.
I think make aware is better than putting the finish or not finish of any portion of Strauss Park in a questionable, we don't know if we're gonna be able to fund it, while other projects are pushed ahead of it. I don't.
Well, but like I said, they delayed some of their projects from last year.
I understand.
And these are new expenses, like the parking lot. This is something that came up this year. So I don't think their stuff should,
So, but I'm if I'm understanding correctly, Parks budget isn't being asked to fund anything for the parking lot. It's only for Park Strauss.
There was misunderstood the conversation.
Because what the way I got it was, all we're looking for is $10,000 to do the, the new concession area build out, storage area, utility room build out, and miscellaneous project support, which includes the park. It is not in
It's
the
not
parking
in the
lot.
parking lot.
So this is just the $10,000 for those items that we're wondering if we have room in our budget for, but if not, there might be a number close. You said there was a number somewhere
Well,
else then?
If the funding is not there, I'll get it elsewhere within the project. We'll divvy some stuff around. One thing that comes to mind is we're planning to put a concrete apron, around the restroom for drainage and stuff. That
It's
could
not-
stay,
I think that's
It's not
necessary.
just for drainage though, it's also for ADA access.
no, this doesn't have anything to do with
Isn't that-
site. This is
Okay.
behind it.
Apron, okay,
Oh, okay.
There are other things that we can, we can cut some
Okay.
corners.
okay,
We could delay planting the big tall tree until a later date, and see where we are funding wise with the whole project.
well, but don't we want the tree to come in while Niels Lunsford is actually working here, cause then we're not
Yeah,
paying,
cost us more to do later.
exactly.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's fair to, we're not putting something on parks that's not parks.
Right,
This is
That's what I
money
said.
for a park.
And I
It's-
mean,
well, let's just see what Steve says and,
Yeah.
kind of. bring
It
it
has
forward.
been, I mean, Bob says he has.
they're very much aware of what is going on.
It's not getting too different from parks and getting, saying, we didn't even know about that.
Okay,
So
well,
that's why I'm saying, as long as they're aware and on board with it, then
I don't mean, should it even be our motion? It's their budget. And we don't have to do anything on this, right?
But Bob needs to move forward though.
But isn't that, I mean,
in parks.
even parks, yeah, we don't.
Parks meets this next Thursday?
No,
That'd be-
there's the first Thursday of the month, we've already met, yeah. Yeah. So not until June, which is why I'm not, I mean. I don't wanna hold up the project. Waiting for parks. So,
Should we,
but do we actually need this board to approve that expense?
should we have an emergency meeting on the Parks and
Well, is it $10,000 or is it exceed 10,000?
Cause Rick's about to
Is that-
whip out his checkbook and
I was
write
gonna
it,
say-
waiting for 99.99.
It doesn't say my limit.
Nine probably.
My limit is 10 grand. I can have a conversation with Steve and discuss this or get them to discuss it with the board. And we won't have to come back here. So we
that
can-
seems like it's streamlined.
I mean,
10,000 is the budget. I fully expect to underrun it. That's always my goal is to be under budget.
sure,
So you got to $9,999.
Well, 10 grand is not time, 10 grand.
okay,
And we do have some back in the base budget, maybe 3,000 or 4,000.
okay,
So.
Yeah.
okay. So, is everybody on the board okay with all that?
Sure.
Okay, fine, excellent.
Okay. That takes care of Strauss Park.
Yay.
Streetlights. Way back when the snow was flying, Rick asked me to take a look and do an inventory of the streetlights on Argentine Street. And see what I could come up with for fixing them, converting them, getting them all lit up again. And down the road, can we make the lights so that they're gonna be serviceable by town staff? In other words, a guy screwing a light bulb in and we're done. And we could do that. It's taken a long time to get there. The short story is the streetlights on Argentine Street are what we originally had a high intensity discharge bulb in it. So those were easy to convert. The newer ones have LEDs. that are not easy to convert and they're very expensive to replace the LED packs, which I think we've run into that. The old style are out of production, there are no more, and there will be no more. I asked the manufacturer through CT Lighting in Denver, can we get parts to convert and fix the ones that we have? And the answer finally came back after much work and a lot of back and forth, that yes, we can get parts, but this is a one-time deal because we don't make these anymore. We're basically, this is gonna clean us out of all the old stuff we have left. So I pushed a little bit harder and said, can we also get 21 new ones that are just like the ones that we on here? And they came back and said, yeah, that will really clean us out. So there's two quotes. One for $7,795 to buy spare parts to fix the lights that we have. And I felt the top, there's like, we've got some that still need to have the LEDs replaced. So it's the kits to replace them, it's replacing other parts to make them. The bottom line, when we're all done, we'll have all the street lights with pendants that all look the same. Or close enough to being the same, it'll be the same physical size. And will be converted to be able to accept the corner quad type LED bulbs. We'll also have, all the pendants that are on the ground, except for one that was damaged beyond repair. They will be outfitted to be the same kind of thing, so we can replace the pendants that are down, and we'll have, I think, about a half a dozen spares left at the end. And that's gonna cost $77.95 for parts, and an hour or two each light to, you know, replace the guts and change the stuff out on the internal. Then they'll need to be, they may need to be done by an electrician to hang them. I don't, that's something we need to get into. So I mean, there'll be a cost associated with putting them back up and connecting them and all that. That's not in the $77.95. Cindy asked me while I was doing this, can I please look into something for RGT North? And I did, and we have a quote for $108,444 for Argentine North project. I talked to her earlier today. She was able to pull this out of the contractor's scope and have it be a direct buy by the town of Georgetown. She's got that approved through CDOT. And the money to pay for all that is it's in the project. It's in the Argentine North project. I'm just asking for go ahead and buy the spare parts for our lights. And if you are clear or happy approving Cindy to go ahead and buy the other ones, we can place both of those. The driver for the Argentine North lights is there 22 to 24 weeks. Delivery, something like that. They're almost 6-month lead time, so she wants to get them on order. I'd be happy to answer any questions. A lot of detail.
This is a lot of work.
So if I'm understanding correctly, you actually do want two motions, one for the purchase of the parts. And another one so that we can get on the books.
Yeah, so she can
Get
go
the
ahead
order
and place the
going.
order for the.
That's 100% covered by the scope.
That's covered on her project. Yeah, I did confirm that with her earlier today.
Then on that concession all the way down.
3 different styles and systems.
Good.
Because the new ones will be with available parts when we find issues with them. No, the new ones will be outdated. They're outdated.
They're outdated.
They're obsolete.
We're going back
too.
10, 15 years. The new ones will be just like the ones we have.
Oh, okay, good. So there's no guarantee that they'll work either.
Well.
Well,
They'll work, Mary. They're gonna have bulbs,
Yes.
so we know they'll work. Even if the light goes out, we'll go and screw the bulb. It's a whole lot easier than
LEDs.
trying to find $2,000 out.
Which ones are we buying her?
We're not buying any of those.
Okay,
Those are the types that were there.
got it.
The picture you see with the pole and everything, that's what we're buying.
This picture?
Yeah, that would be for Argentine North.
Got it. Have this
And
picture.
Mary, are you with all this? We have money for all of this?
Well,
The Argentine or the lights are in the project
Yeah.
already.
And
And the other 7,000, tell me where you want it to come from.
well, it was proposed for us to discuss in ARPA funds.
Yeah.
Is that on the list?
Maybe we should move that up.
Yes.
Well, voting now to approve the spending doesn't preclude us from covering that spending with ARPA funds, right?
Correct.
Okay. So,
Means if you don't come to ARPA funds, it has to come where
Somewhere.
That's fine.
so,
Well, I'm ready for a motion.
okay,
Do it, John.
2 motions if you want, well, one at a time.
I move to approve the quote from lighting and controls for an amount not to exceed $7,795. And I need a second on that one.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the quote from Lighting and Controls. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
So this one, the lighting controls as well.
Yes, I
You
believe.
want to get descriptive in there?
Here's the whole guy.
It's for the Argentine North project.
Okay,
And this was all, just so that you're aware, normally this stuff is bought through the electrical contractor, who goes to electrical supply warehouse, who comes to lighting controls, and then they go to the manufacturer.
And so we're.
That's why it's taken us a year to get the lights from Strauss Park.
no, I appreciate all the work.
And I finally convinced them, no, we want to go directly to the local manufacturer's rep here in Denver, that's CP Lighting Controls, they have a direct pipeline to the manufacturer, they can help. They've been helping. So we have a direct link now to the manufacturer, so they can hear us, support us. Yeah, and we have our own drawings, say Georgetown, on it, which.
So my next motion is gonna be from lighting and controls as well for $108,444 for Argentine North project for 21 lights.
Okay.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the quote from Lighting and Controls for the 21 lights for Argentine North for a cost of $108,444. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank all of you, I'm so happy to have all this. I do want to add one thing. Jennifer, I'll be coming to you,
You're overstepping now.
Certain lights. I'm also looking at, how do we put a safe, I'll just couch it that way, receptacle on the light poles for Christmas decorations. None of our existing poles have a safe receptacle, all they have is a little pigtail hanging out and plug something into.
Yes,
I think I've got a solution for that, where we can add it at the top. All the new poles will have it, including Strauss Park.
I thought I saw that already in the plan.
It's, the information is in there, but I don't have,
It's right there at the top.
yeah, that's on the new.
GFCI.
None of the existing poles have that.
Yeah, I see.
I can buy, I found an adapter that I can put on the pole, but the manufacturer won't touch it. He says, we don't, once the pole is out there, it's yours.
Okay,
But it's something we can probably do with town staff. I just need to get all the pieces together. I found out the adapter, it's, lead time on that is, we might get it by mid-July if we will. But I'll talk to Rick about that. It's not a lot of money.
okay. Okay,
I approve.
Thanks, Bob.
wonderful.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I turned on some of the lights in the Christmas lighting, and it's done with a stick from far away. I'm all for any safer option.
Okay,
Chickens.
So not sure.
can't say we don't.
When you put it in that, those.
Yeah.
Problem.
So,
Illuminating.
Oh. Oh.
Funny as I guess.
All right. And moving on, we have ordinance number 5. Series 2024 for common outdoor dining area. This is a first reading, an ordinance adopting a new section 5.16.090 of the Georgetown Municipal Code to allow communal outdoor dining areas.
Hi, okay. So this is my first ordinance, so please, I'm inviting scrutiny. I don't know what I'm doing, so, but I'm excited about it. So, as you know, the Business Promotion Commission tasked me with looking into this ordinance, and, Jerry and I reviewed it, and we think the coda would be the best way to allow for common consumption of alcohol in communal spaces. It would require street closures, and so that's something that we felt was a good idea to talk to local businesses about. So Exhibit E, if you feel like looking at that at some point, is a summary of the people that I spoke with on 6th Street, business owners. I did talk to Jordan today and Wendy and Corlew and also Dana this weekend. Dana and Jordan are supportive. Corlew and Wendy, as expected, are more skeptical. Some of the concerns that they raised were traffic being directed into residential areas, and also a lack of business and traffic in downtown. So that's something that people have different opinions about. The people that I've spoken with that have CODA, which include Idaho Springs, Town of Erie, and then I haven't spoken with anyone in Boulder, but their website has a report on what they found after they implemented it. All of them report higher tax revenues, higher foot traffic, and no complaints or significant issues from people failing to follow the rules of the CODA. Not to say that that couldn't happen, but just that no one I've spoken with is having any issues with that. Of the businesses I spoke to, like I said, basically everyone was much more supportive than we were kind of anticipating. So that was exciting. People are ready to try something new. I have put in this packet a map that I think John was looking at earlier. That is purely a proposal. No problem. Completely just my imagination right now. It's not something that you would need to approve at this moment. The ordinance would just allow for businesses to apply to create a CODA. That map is what what I think would work after talking to businesses who would like to participate and other people who want to have events in town like Jeff. And Mary, who recommended maybe you don't need the CODA to go all the way down certain streets that don't have businesses on it. So that's just a proposal. It doesn't need to be what it is necessarily. That process will happen later, as well as the times. Some businesses, even when they were excited, expressed that they felt that the CODA should probably only be implemented around events, not necessarily, every Friday unless there's something going on. So, the one event that I feel like everyone is pretty comfortable with and excited about is Mountain Jams, which is happening regularly on a Saturday, something that's outside. So having a drink outside could really be a fun thing while you're listening to music. So as far as timing goes, Saturday, afternoon would probably be ideal. John has also expressed concerns about people drinking, especially in the evening. So that's police force concerns, which we always want to be mindful of. I have some signage in here that Jess helped me make. She's very considerate of accessibility standards for marketing and stuff. So this is a sample we might use. So if you have any feedback on this, that would also be something we can talk about. And then these dots on the bottom are intended to be Braille. So just look up what those are if you're confused about them. So
In the definition of the coda, it is, and I am so sorry, I don't wanna stop you while you're talking, if we wanted to move it for, say, like, the 4th of July comes to mind, because last year, the beer garden was down in City Park. And if we wanted to expand it to be like in that area, so people could go from the dog park to City Park, would that be allowed in the coda or no?
No, so that would be a special event, which is a distinct thing from CODA. CODA would be a more scheduled thing. The way that other municipalities do it is when the businesses apply for it, they bring you a schedule
I
and you
see.
would approve the schedule. And yeah, 4th of July, Christmas market, those would be special events. However, I do think that having CODA would put us in a lot better position so that we do have special events like that. The townsfolk are more used to it, businesses know what's going on, we have signage up for it already, so I think it would make events like that a little easier.
Because Idaho Springs coda exists year round, I mean, not year round, excuse me, from like a date to a date, or just over certain days.
They definitely closed the street recently and started putting stuff out, so I think it's a summertime thing, and like Erie does theirs farmers market, but it's not closed all the time, so.
I think in the winter time, they make Minor Street one way.
Yeah.
And then half of it is.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, so, but I know Tommy Knockers has their street patio kind of out now, so I go for karaoke. So. On Monday, so.
Yeah, it seems like 1st of May is when they start putting that into effect.
So, yeah, and then I also included in here the states, which Idaho Springs uses the state application, other cities have their own application process. The state expansion of alcohol premises, so the way that the licensing works is whatever businesses are participating would expand their liquor license to cover the common outdoor dining area. So that would not include any businesses, so people can't bring their drinks into shops or other restaurants or anything like that. So, but anything in the coda would be covered by whatever participating liquor licensees want to.
can liquor licensees off of 6th Street be in the coda? Or does it have to be people on 6th Street?
So the ordinance as it's written would allow for anyone within 1,000 feet to participate. It's a weird thing, because like you can't carry, like you'd have to seal the alcohol and then carry it to the coda if they're not part of it, so
Yeah.
that would be kind of a weird thing.
Yeah.
So what happens if you wanna bring in your own 6-pack?
I think that'd be allowed. What do you think, Jerry?
Well,
I'm,
these are questions that we need to start pounding out now. I think we need to have these conversations. I know business promotions is in favor of this, but I think there's a lot that we need to iron out before I'm comfortable even going on first reading, you know, with dates and times. And are we gonna have 2 liquor license holders that are ready to sign up tomorrow to do this? And is it specific dates? I mean, this is like the groundwork, but you've got so much more to put together. And right now, and I was a big person that says mountain jams, this would be perfect for mountain jams. But our park ordinance doesn't allow liquor in it yet, so we would have to change that. Merchants want to be able to bring out stuff on the sidewalk, and so I know that was mentioned in here about, you know, looking at the encroachment for that, you know, there's so many pieces, and we can't. We're gonna be ironing this out all summer long if we don't plan ahead and have it ready to go. Otherwise, we end up with egg on our face like we did with our lodging ordinance.
Should it be a work session?
Well, it's, you know.
I hate to
my
say it, but
concerns,
maybe it
so
should
let me
be a
just throw out a couple of things that I'm like, so, you know, the biggest thing that I see, you know, I love the concept of a code. I think it's got such a great opportunity to improve 6th Street. One of the, and so with my background in liquor license is that, you know, there's a specific individual attached to every license. And in the case of my business, I'm just gonna use it as the example, it's me. So where does the onus come from the coda if an individual becomes blotto down here? who's taking the dram shop law responsibility on that? Like, who is the state going to hold culpable? Cause right now, if I overserve someone to the point that they get on the highway and they kill somebody, I'm on hook for that personally. And so that's where I think that there's a great opportunity here for us to do this and to really enhance the Sixth Street vibe, but I wanna make sure that we're not exposing ourselves from a town logistical standpoint to, again, if I serve a minor, I'm on the hook for that. Even if I'm not in the building, I'm taking it, just because my name's on our liquor license. So those are just some like preliminary concerns I have.
Yeah.
Well, how does he control too, if, like, off of what you're saying, if somebody brings their own alcohol?
Yeah.
If somebody brings their own alcohol and gives a minor that, does that fall into the town? There's a lot of stuff.
There's also a guy who drank too much, was seen fine, and then he has one drink, and then, all of a sudden, he's blotto. So I mean, there's a million scenarios.
There
Who
are.
oversees it though?
I just wonder if maybe we ought to hash it out in a work session rather than.
Well, I'm sure you can enlighten us to some of your concern. I mean, moving forward, yes, we believe that CODA is a good thing. How can we do it with all these concerns? And I want to hear the police weigh in. I want to hear Kelly's response to shutting down streets. You bring up Grinnell Pass in the summertime, like,
People are up and down on the weekends and it's just getting more every year.
So we gotta gather a lot of these points and just, maybe go over, we ought to dedicate some time, because this is very important, and I think we ought to,
get it done.
And you've worked really hard on this,
Yes.
and I don't wanna throw this is not like, and maybe there's workarounds for it, but I do think, again, in the kind of responsibility of alcohol service, that it is our responsibility as liquor license holders, making sure that we have those answers is important to me.
Well, it's not reinventing the wheel either, because other towns are doing it, so I'm sure it'd be easier for you to find out. That's all I can
see,
say.
I got this framework.
I've worked on a CODA for a really long time in Glendale. And Glendale is a special place, and from and this was ahead of the state's CODA. It is, it's like lawless, it's like the Wild West in Glendale. And we worked for a really long time in Dakota, and the state hadn't done any of this legwork, because it was loose. And the pilots that it wasn't as good as what you're seeing in Idaho Springs or Erie. Like, I do think there's much more progress on these types of scenarios, but I do worry about exposing the town's liability. Again, if we can't control someone bringing their own alcohol, people can't walk into my place with their own alcohol. And I catch them all the time, believe me, especially in the summer. We're constantly catching tourists that walk in with like a tall boy of like PBR. I'm like, I don't sell that. I'm gonna take that from you now. And people walk out too, like they go, like if they're waiting for their table, they go walk to the bridge. And I'm like, my liquor license doesn't go there. You have to stand over here. So it is, we see that, and it's just that it's a little bit of a tricky control. But it's not impossible. We've seen good scenarios too, with like our events and like the tent, and the beer garden last year was really good on the 4th. There was no problems with the beer garden.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't-
So we know it's got good possible. But I'm not,
Time is of the essence.
I'm not.
Because we'd like to, if we're gonna move on this, it'd be great to be able to actually do it in the summer of 2024. We have a work session scheduled next time, but are we gonna add this onto it? Can we make the time to add this onto it with more, information and research from you, and you can weigh in, and all the other entities that are involved.
I say, yeah, if she can get it ready by that, then we should definitely do it, if we wanna move on this fast, for sure.
Because we're still gonna have a good second reading,
And second reading would be June.
Well, it can be whatever you want it to be. I mean, honestly, you have to start somewhere.
we don't wanna do it in August.
Right, well,
If we did first reading tonight and then made a bunch of revisions, would that be bad?
I wonder if we should table the first reading.
Okay, let Gary finish.
let me make a suggestion.
in the end, the program will be an ordinance that's pretty short, like what you see. And your local procedures that will address most of the questions we talked about, which will be a requirement that you attach the ordinance when you do it. So from a process standpoint, there's absolutely no harm in it. I think some advantage in getting the ordinance adopted on first reading, because it's not gonna change in size and scope much, other than adding a few paragraphs on, okay, see the attached procedures, which is where all the action is in terms of liability and other agencies and the requirements you'll lay on licensees for controlling the perimeter and who is responsible for over service, et cetera. I get it. These are all questions. I don't have the answers to them. But I'm a process guy, as you know, and so what I'm saying here aren't your answers, but they're your process to get to it. And if the desire is to have it, if the desire was, let's have this ready for 2025, then I'd say, sure, just wait on first reading. Was there a reason to get first reading out, not to get first reading out of the way? And schedule second reading when you're comfortable with what will amount to a giant attachment or exhibit to this ordinance, which will be the local procedures that you will have to grind through in a study session context, or work session context. And I've been making notes, I'm sure Katie has. Okay, what are the questions we want to have answers for? And material for the board in a work session. Then in a work session, I would expect we'll tick through the issues. We'll say, here's your choices around perimeter. Here's your choices around liability. And we will want and expect you to say, okay, door number 2. And we'll write that down and we'll go on to the next one. If you don't do it that way, then I guarantee you'll still be talking about it wrong. That's okay too. And maybe in the work session, you'll discover that it's just too much, but trying to fashion a process that gets you either an ordinance on the book so you can use it this summer, or gets you to the point where you realize we're not ready. Either way, it's fine.
How about this? How about this? Could we get something that is rudimentary, that gets us going for this year? And then based on what we find in terms of, loopholes or pitfalls, we can make an ordinance for 2025.
I'm certain that no matter what you do for this year, you'll have the experience of the summer if you get it going. And you'll have good things about it, bad things, you'll be making notes all the time. And there's a lot that you'll want to revise it for the next session, the next season. I would guess that to get to something that you'd be willing to take a chance on for this summer, you could do that, and you could require that individual applications have to come in that address these issues. And if they're not addressed, you'll say no to them. So while you might have a code system on the books, if you're still not fully comfortable with the applications that come in, you'll say no to them. And while the system might be on the books, code wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen until later in the summer when you finally got there. So all I'm saying is, I think that to get enough level of comfort from people to even allow people to apply, we'll have to address the questions that, Amanda raises and the questions that Mary raises. And so there's no question you'll want to fine tune this thing. No matter what we're able to put together for this.
Nobody gets another person.
No, I'd rather bring in more information at our next meeting and go through this. This is so basic and this is so raw and it's a great idea. And I want us to get there, but I think there's too much information that still needs to come in so that we can help formulate this and be able to iron out the procedures. And I don't want to shift them this summer. And whether we tweak it or not, we can't constantly be playing catch up if we can put in a few extra, a couple of weeks to come up with so much more information. So it's a thought process.
We have one thought.
Exactly.
So
you know, and.
I would honestly, if these were to go, I would be a no vote tonight, not because I don't love the idea, but because I would have to just assert a little bit more, and I know you've done a lot of work on this, so don't take this as like it's dead, cause it's not, but I wouldn't go on first reading tonight.
But maybe we'll be back to the first meeting with door number 1 through 5, you know, and then we can still have the press release to tweak it in June.
Or second.
It's not gonna happen for us for Memorial Day weekend anyway.
Correct.
So, you know, we still have certain meetings, you know.
Tell you what, it really would be, out of respect to John, we really ought to take our time. Because, yeah, here we are, putting one more thing on his plate. Is that really fair? Not to me.
The real key here isn't, I mean, to be honest, isn't the readings of the ordinance, and you don't have to do it tonight. That's not where all the work is and all the time is. And the work and the time is getting ready for a study session that you will have to devote real time to give us answers. That's what will take the time. So getting on your schedule for that, I keep saying study session, work session, is what's really gonna take the effort. And when you're done with that work session, you may still not be comfortable with it, and we'll have to have another work session. You know, we can get the ordinances going, you know, after first reading tonight, it just saves you a step and doesn't commit you to anything, but I get it that you're not even comfortable with that, that's fine. But it's really scheduling the work session, which the staff can be ready for, I think, with the questions to ask you. So we get the answers, and then we can write up what your answers are.
I want to push it back until we have, even with that work session, we're gonna have a better understanding. And if the ordinance comes out still kind of weak on first reading, we've got a better sense of direction.
So you wanna know more about liability, you want input from the fire department? What else do you wanna know? Cause some things like the map, we
Police
wouldn't be
department.
able to do.
Okay, hang on, we're making notes. Everybody, Katie and I really want to list,
Yeah,
so give it to us now.
Police department, fire department. The map.
so
Hang
the
on.
map is a hard thing, we definitely have proposed maps, but it will depend on who actually submits an application. We can't determine that necessarily ahead of time, we just have. proposals.
How about areas?
Yeah, you,
Okay, we'll
on the map, if we're doing, I've got so far, because somebody's got to take notes, so I've got, licensee responsibility for overservice, et cetera. Amanda's point. I've got a fire department, I've got a police department, and obviously we'll need to sit down with John. On the map, Keisha's right, it's kind of dependent on who applies, but John's right. It's, you can, by either the ordinance, these guidelines attached, you can say, here are eligible areas, and we're not gonna let you apply, you can't apply outside of these areas. And so, yeah, and so we'll provide that map, and I absolutely get it, that map's gonna be of great interest to the merchants, and they're gonna want to know. Some are gonna want that, you know, that, but I think what I'll call the eligible area map within which people will have to then apply is what you want from us, and we'll look at that again. So I've got that. What was number 5 on the list? I'm not.
What is
Can
ours?
I clarify something? So, what do you want me to add to this map? Like, what other information do you need from me for this?
Are any of those streets that are marked as either closed or Dakota area, are any of those able to be partial closures? So that you'd have maybe one lane of traffic,
Well, like residents could get to their,
well, or people coming off of Guanella Pass could be, instead of channeling through the narrow, you know, 4th Street, 3rd Street, 2nd, can they get any closer to downtown?
Potentially.
Yeah,
Well, that's just part and parcel of, in the work session, what options do you want
for the map to show.
But some of those, like Bob presented options 1, 2, and 3 for the parking lot.
Yeah.
I think if we do this way, then this happens. If we do it this way, this happens.
Yeah.
If we're putting signage out, we can't control the guests any more than they might already be. So we have to know that this area is CODA and, and that helps all the way around. And
Just generally.
Okay, after the map, I've got sort of people bringing their own alcohol and what are the constraints and opportunities around that. So I've got that noted down. I don't need the answer, I just need the
the
topic.
dates and times of, how it's going to react, yeah.
Okay, some times. Okay.
How about the generalized liability over the whole area? Who's the deep pockets?
Okay, yeah, I've got liability. And I got that. What's next?
I think another thing I heard coming up was, can you bring alcohol in?
That's what.
Yeah, okay.
That's on my list.
The other thing that I have a question about is, and I'm doing this because I'm looking at the list and I understand, and this is maybe a little bit deeper. Does it preclude on or off premise licensees? So an on-premise licensee is a licensee that it serves in an establishment with open container, and an off-premise licensee is someone who potentially, we don't have any off-premise licensees in this district right now, but if somebody comes along at some point and opens a wine store or a distillery, what would that look like for them?
Yeah.
What level of license is allowed to be included? And then I understand you need the 2 licensees within 1,000 feet. So that Cabin Creek's out, Cooper's is out. Could an Alpine technically try to establish a CODA if they want to? There with it, I'm just trying to cover the bases of like,
I don't think there'll be 1,000 feet within this designated.
but that's what I'm saying, like, if it's 2 licensees, would we ever need to look at amending down the road if like those guys wanted to team up? Because, and so I'm just trying to, I'm pulling out all the different scenarios right
Sure,
now.
well, and I bet anything from that topic, that after a year's worth of experience, it could well be that Cabin Creek or Cooper's could say, okay, we think that there's enough energy, and synergy to make it worth it.
Totally, but
and-
we don't have a set, we don't have a second licensee to team up with
Yeah, well, and I can't solve that problem.
because of our location.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know that.
if I could call Come and Go, they're off premise and say, we're gonna shut down the roundabout, can we do that?
Do you? Occasion our notes,
Yeah.
and make sure your work session's effective. Is that on the list to be discussed in the work session?
I think there should be a consideration, but it might be at the state level for excluded licenses that are out of the CODA. If, say, 511 went to Cabin Creek and said, I wanna would you guys be our second licensee? Who is that possibility?
So is that on our?
Yes.
We're making the work session list.
Yes, I would,
Okay,
yeah.
that's number 7. I've got number 6, bring your own 6-pack. Question mark. I'm ready for number 8.
Special events are gonna play into this because we're, one of our focuses is all the events that our events and marketing manager coordinates throughout the seasons. And so how is that impacting, are we having 2 liquor licensees applying or who applies? So if Mountain Jams wants to utilize CODA, how do they do it? Because they're not a liquor license holder, they have to apply as a special event one, it has to be 2, do they? But
Well, the category I've got is impact on special events. Is that enough for a category?
sure, you could
Okay.
have found out all of them, but
Because it'll
they're the
lead to
same
more
one.
questions.
Oh, in the library at the old school,
I would have thought something like an ongoing event.
yeah.
I was also wondering about just
But it's good to work.
other vendors who might set up in one of the booths at Strauss Park.
Exactly.
Slaymaker Cellars, the cidery, could be Cabin Creek, could be, I
Again,
mean,
I wanted to point out that putting taps in the back of those walls, is a great idea. You guys didn't wanna do it, but it was a great idea. I'm sorry, go on.
But those are
That's what I'm saying.
That's more for the list though, because there's an impact on our current park ordinance, and there's an
Sure.
impact on
That's true.
any encroachment applications
Under
we
the
have on our
sidewalk.
merchants,
So merchant
For the-
encouragement, Jerry, I think that's.
because they can't just throw their stuff out on the sidewalk now.
Right, so help me write the list.
So those,
Be helpful to me in writing the list.
okay, so what
How
we
would
have to
you
do is
say that?
change our park ordinance to allow liquor in Strauss Park, basically,
Under certain circumstances.
Okay.
when code is in effect, and the same with the encroachment for merchants within the CODA area, and we're doing this to appeal to their, or to help them with their,
Okay,
you know, businesses.
so I've got park, back to the park in Coda. Merchants went in Coda.
Well,
I can stop doing the work of trying to organize this list if you want me to, or I can keep doing it. I'm up to number 10.
So what I was gonna say is, I wondered if CODA could be enforced, if you've got a reoccurring event like Mountain Jams, could CODA parallel that event?
Yeah, I've got this,
If you've got something like Christmas market that happens, you know, on 2 different dates, could it parallel?
I've got Coda and special event, that's on the list.
Right.
I think this is a good start, Jerry.
Yeah.
There are
I think that.
I don't want to show up in the work session and the questions, well, what about this, and tell us. And I'm not joking, because that will happen and it should happen, because you will think of something that none of us.
This is a
thought.
good start.
But I'm trying to do the best I can so that we don't have a frustrating work session where it's full, we don't know enough. You know,
Right.
I
If we
want
think
you
of
to,
another thing, can we just fire it to Kasia and
Sure.
add it to the list?
absolutely.
Okay, and now we can start another 10.
It's a good stopping point.
I think, yeah,
It's a good start.
well, it's
It's a good start.
probably. Okay, we've got the list. And as soon as we've done the research, we'll put it on the list.
Yeah, I would say that. Nope, I forgot the thing.
You've done a lot of work on
Yeah.
this. Please don't feel discouraged if this is not the goal, but I just.
What I was gonna say is I put the Boulder application process in this packet. So if you wanna review that for the work session, I think that'd probably be really helpful.
It's a good way to issue spot. I read that myself. I think it's a good, you know, Boulder. Has the time and staff to write 20 pages, when that's what
Yeah.
time after I can. But nevertheless, they do a lot of work.
There's also the Santa Fe Arts District that's doing First Friday art festivals, and they have been allowing.
There's gotta be a way we can do this and cover most of our bases.
Sure.
And I hope, well, I'd love to do it this year, but I mean, I just wonder how, what,
Need to wet one.
This is job security.
No, let's focus on. No, I mean, I wanna stay realistic, but I think we're on the right path to make sure that before we throw it out there and open it up,
well, you're right.
that we covered bases, so, yeah.
It's a lot.
Okay,
I'm trying to say what I hear you. That's all right.
okay, yep,
That's all right.
so,
Do we wanna schedule a work session or? I don't know.
Let's see how much research we get done, and then we'll work with
Yeah.
Annette and Rick to
Yeah.
pick the right time.
cause I don't wanna schedule
Schedule
it so soon that
Yeah.
we're not ready with everything, so. And so we just don't need any action on. first
No, we've got all the direction we need,
Got it.
and we can go on to, item number 5.
Sweet. Okay. Next we have ordinance number 6, series 2024. Adopt an ordinance adopting by reference the National Electrical Code 2023 edition.
Yeah.
This ordinance not as controversial, we are compelled to do it by the state of Colorado, so. State bill has requested the town to update the National Electric Code from 2020 to 2023. State of Colorado says we have to do that, so. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Mhm.
I'll move to approve or no, I'm sorry.
Just one question
Yes, go
before
ahead,
the
go ahead.
vote. I just wanted to make sure that we do in fact have the addition of the code
Yes.
in town hall for review. Okay.
Yep.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
I move to approve ordinance number 6, series 2024 on the first reading.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve ordinance number 6, series 2024 on first reading. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, next we have license agreement for 403 Fourth Street. Who wants to?
Who's that? Is that you, right? Is that?
I've not been working on that, too.
I have been.
Gary? Is it me? I'm
I'm
happy to do it. I'm not as familiar with the location, but, this is a, individual that was, wanting to be able to use a portion of, Fourth Street, adjacent to their property. I think there's some maps there that you can look at. The code requires that if somebody wants to use town property, that there be an encroachment license agreement or a lease or otherwise permit. So I put together this license agreement, actually occasioned to the draft, I think, and I revised it, I forget how it worked. One of us worked on it. I know I did. And it has all of the classic thing. Right now, it's just designed for vehicular access to property on motor vehicles and pedestrians only access to. And you know, it's the piece of property that's up at the trailhead to the Rutherford Trail, where you've all been. And the party that wants to use this property is the house that would be on the like north kind of west corner kind of that property. And I believe north is downstream in my world here, and I'm sticking to that story. Cause I am. And so they want to use it to be able to have a better direct access to their property. So it lends itself to a license agreement to allow to do that. The code lets you do that. The only other thing that I would note is in 2005, the board, apparently I wasn't here, but the board adopted a procedure for reviewing encroachment licenses. It says you've got to have an application and does require a slightly better scaled map of the encroachment area than I think is attached here. So, I'll shut up in a second, but it would occur to me that probably a proper motion, if you're comfortable with the use, would be to approve the license agreement with the condition that a detailed map be attached to better detail, because it's not surveyed at all. The aerial that's been drawn to better detail the area that's being licensed. Other than that, I put in all the classic things about insurance and liability, et cetera, that I always do. So, and your other question is, do you, right now, there's a blank for how much they would pay you for this license. You got the right to demand payment, or it can be for $10, another good and valuable. So that ends my report.
The only thing that I would add to Jerry's is this is one we have seen before. And this is the one that at first, when we went through all the boards, to vet as well, it was an encroachment license. And then we determined in here that it's not encroaching at all. It's just, it's an easement in a sense. We're just allowing them access.
So are we misnaming it, giving it an encroachment and not?
I still like calling it honestly a license only because an easement's an interest in real property. And I don't think that's necessary here. They're not gonna, if someone's gonna build some more permanent improvement, you need an easement, you know, to support that.
Sure.
But it's really just using unimproved area. That in a future time and world, you might want to revoke. It's a little easier to revoke a license than it doesn't have to be recorded, and it's just I think it's the right fit for what they need to use.
Got it.
Well, if I remember right, Community Planning Commission was in favor of it.
Yeah, but they didn't have standing to actually filed for an encroachment.
Yeah.
So I have a few questions. So, of course I do. I had a boring day, so I don't. So on page,
Not a boring night.
on page 1, section 1. On the second line, I'm concerned where we say to occupy. Because I,
Paragraph 1, paragraph 2.
yeah, something to all. The Georgetown grants a private revocable license to licensees to occupy, maintain, and utilize. I'd like to consider striking occupy and just say maintain and utilize so that they're not parking on our property.
Okay, so it's access.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, no, that's good. And while we're at it, I think that we're under letter C, it says vehicular. I think it should be accessed by motor vehicles and pedestrians. Take out the initial vehicular. Because that will allow them to walk.
To walk in, yeah.
Okay.
And then on page 2, number 10.
Okay.
Yes. I don't believe that this license should just be assigned and transferred if somebody moves on.
Yeah.
I think that
Reapply.
person, it needs to be revoked at that time and reapplied. I also think that we need to add something along those lines if the property owner,
Rents, decides to rent.
let's just say Diane Anderson, because she's the adjacent property owner, if that property owner changes, I think that's putting an unfair burden on the new property owner, that all of a sudden they've got this access. I think this process should have to be, you know.
I know this property pretty well too, like I can, because it's, yeah.
But I also want to make sure that there's some restriction on here that if this becomes a short-term rental, that
Good idea.
this is revoked,
Yep.
because we have just then allowed them, granted them additional parking space and access for one particular short-term rental owner and not everybody else that has had issues with the parking situation in that word.
Okay, so I'm making notes, so, I don't make notes as fast as you can talk, so, yeah.
I'm not slowing down.
Yes, you are.
If
I
you want
can
me
see
to,
myself.
if you want me to get the notes right, I'm asking you to slow down slowly. I've got revoke and reapply if new owner of the property that's benefited here.
Yeah.
Revoke and reapply if property that's benefited applies for and receives a STR license.
Yeah,
And was there a third?
and revoke,
Revoke and reapply if the neighbor adjacent to the affected area, sells or changes ownership.
yeah. So it's the 401 4th Street owner, and I don't know if that's all one parcel or if it's 2 parcels.
And what's that address again?
Well, right now it's, so I'm
401
referring to it as 401 4th Street.
Yeah, 401.
401
434 is the,
is the
property.
benefit property.
Correct.
That is the, yeah.
414, okay,
Yes.
all right, thank you,
That's it.
keep going.
That's all I got. That's all I know. Wait, there's more on it.
Okay, I got all, and are we talking about money or is this the $10 in good value? $10 in good value.
How much time does our staff spend on this?
Yeah,
I don't know the form, it's not.
We got probably a year into this. So, we'll see.
so whatever we found.
I've spent tons of hours.
So an encroachment license costs what?
$200.
Yeah, 200.
So why should this license be different?
Are they paying the fee as well?
They have already paid the fee, and we just asked for this to apply to this.
Okay.
The new fee, because I get it originally applied under the old.
Yeah, they applied under an encroachment license fee. Before that.
Are we ready for a motion?
Yes, there's a motion packet, but add to it. I think, the rear access not guaranteed, be for a license agreement. At the tail end, saying and fully conditioned on the conditions described by the board during the May 14th meeting.
Okay.
And then I'll be able to incorporate all the things
Okay.
you told me.
Was there any further discussion?
But can we clarify somewhere by the time we finish this one, that the lot that they drive up, Diane's, is that one full lot there, or are those two separate parcels? I can't tell from this map. And so if it comes down to a legal thing down the line, you know, we're not affecting Diane's house or driveway, you know what I'm saying? I think it's an odd shaped.
I'm looking, this is the Zillow side of the phone.
Okay, well, I can't,
So it's not, yeah, it's not perfect, but that's property there. Okay. There's the Rutherford there. I think it's one lot.
she's got like a little panhandle.
I
She
think
does.
it's like this.
Flag lot.
So I'm just saying, if we're referring to that lot as 401, and we're saying that if that property sells, it gets revoked and they have to come back to the process. I just want to make sure that the parcel that we're really looking at is correctly identified in the order. So I'm trying to clarify.
So you could call it parcel or parcels related to 401.
Sure.
Are we ready? Okay. I move to approve the request for a license agreement to grant access through the town-owned parking lot on Third Street with the following conditions: that the rear access is not guaranteed, and if access is blocked, the owner will not be allowed to have any vehicles towed. And further conditions laid out by the board in May 14th first reading,
Just May 14th. It's not an ordinance, it's just May 14th.
May 14th.
Perfect.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the license agreement. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Great. Next, we have police license plate reader. Quote from Motorola Solutions.
So John has approached, staff in our discussions that he wants to move forward with getting a license plate reader. This special kind of reader is the kind that you can put in his vehicle. And I might give some details of kind of what this thing can do, but it reads all the time. It will constantly read as he is sitting there, wherever the angle that it's pointing at, it will read other license and it will immediately flag and say if the license plate is suspended, if there's some kind of warrant that's associated with it. It will just go through and immediately give an indication, of my understanding, I could be wrong.
No, that's correct.
Okay, and so, well, John, why don't you, I can't give you a head start on it, but go ahead.
So yeah, that's correct, and I can expand or delineate what it will read, what it will tell me. Do I wanna just look for stolen cars, do I wanna look for just warrants, do I wanna look for both? Amber alerts, silver alerts. Do I wanna look for a car that's been tagged for ATL, attempt to locate, maybe it's involved in a robbery or burglary somewhere else. It'll do whatever I need it to do or want it to do or program it to do. And I've got a crude license plate reader policy that I've been working on, clearly still in the rough. So you guys haven't seen it yet, but I have been working on it in anticipation of getting this piece of equipment. So I think it'll be a huge asset to the police department, throughout the year.
I thought we, a couple of months back, were deferring this until we had our police department more formally organized.
There was something that came up that you wanted to bring it up. And so, can you refresh my memory?
Well, I mean, so as part of my report, we had a burglary over on Main Street. These burglaries is a newly constructed home. It was just turned over to the homeowner and it was burglarized, some items stolen. And so you wonder, is it an inside job? It's just one house that was hit, why this house? But clearly somebody did not know what they were looking for. They were rifling through stuff, just looking for things of value. So clearly not an inside job. People coming up from the metro, at night doing this. This happened to be, a vehicle that was stolen out of Grand Junction area. It came over here to Georgetown. It came through Eagle at 10 p.m. In Georgetown area, if you're coming from Eagle, you're probably here around midnight, 1 a.m. So arrived here about 1 a.m., committed the crime, and then left, hit Leadville, back to Vale, and back to Grand Junction where it was ditched. And I have some evidence out here. They wonder how in the world do I figure out where this car has been? And it's the license plate reader program that does that. Everywhere there's a license plate reader that picks up on that plate, that captures that plate, goes into a system and can type in that plate to figure out where this vehicle has been. And then you can put it at multiple crime scenes. So it just helps. And right now I'm looking for help because it's just been a heat. And I can't be out there at 1 a.m. and I can't be out there at 2 a.m. or try to predict when these crimes are gonna occur. They're just unpredictable. So anyway, so I've been working on all of this stuff to try and how can I enhance public safety as a one-man band? You know, because I don't know when this is gonna come about. When is this gonna get resolved, you know, and it's not I'm not focused on that point. I'm focused on what can I do right now for the people of this community. And that's the way I've always been working and functioning and so this is just one more tool that can then, you know, help the community to be a safer place, especially with what we have going on. Crime is through the roof in Denver. And it's more pervasive out here. I mean, it is bleeding over into our community and it's hard to stop that. But we also obviously have crimes being committed in Grand Junction where they're coming this way, you know, committing crimes between Grand Junction and here and back again. It's difficult to keep up with these people. This is just one benefit, one asset that can help us. So I don't have to go to So I have to go to a burglary scene and tell the owner, tell the victim, sorry, I'm probably not gonna be able to solve this crime for you. So anyway.
But I mean, in terms of not only being able for you, like you're driving along and, you know, reads the license plate in front of you. If that license plate were through Georgetown, wouldn't it also add to the number of locations that it had pinged in terms of like?
Well, absolutely. So I mean, Eagle was the last point it came through on its way to Georgetown. There were no other hits anywhere.
But my point is that it's not just a great tool for you, but it's a great tool for being able to catch these guys.
Oh, for law enforcement in general.
Right.
You know, somebody trying to solve a crime and they're from Grand Junction and, you know, I
I think they have valuable information.
You have
because you have that apparatus.
Yeah, so anyway, it definitely will benefit more jurisdictions than just this one community, you know, so.
But that's, so you're referring to two separate things, though. It's great technology. But you aren't out on the street all the time at 2 a.m. God bless you if you are, but you bring up a point here. If you're looking at the one that's in your vehicle, it's limited to where your vehicle is at that time. It's not scanning all of Georgetown. So there's a possibility of a stationary user as opposed to one in your vehicle.
Right.
So for the entryway to Georgetown, if it was mounted on a roundabout and catching people as they're coming in, you were able to use it as an investigative tool as you follow up. Correct? So are the databases, private databases that this particular company is linked up with, or is this linked directly with Jeffcom?
No, it's not linked with Jeffcom. It's a database I would have to access. Independent of Jeffcom. Jeffcom would have nothing to do with this.
So it's not an instantaneous reader of.
Oh, it would instantaneously pick up what that plate is, what's going on with that plate. It would definitely immediately notify me of whatever's going on.
Okay, and so then, is that in Colorado? Does that give you the right to stop that vehicle because it comes back on a registered owner and not the person who's driving that vehicle?
Correct. So there's established case law on if I run a plate right now manually and it says, okay, this is the registered owner, and then I go take it a step further and run clear the registered owner, and they come back revoked, I don't have to know who's driving that car. I can stop the car based on that information. Now, if I see John Smith is under revocation.
No
but I-
relation to me, I don't.
No, right. But there's a female driving, that's different. I mean, there's no way I can articulate, I'm gonna stop that car, because it could be some, I haven't used discretion, I haven't used common sense, but case law establishes that I can indeed stop that vehicle without knowing who exactly the driver is.
What other community around us have one?
Nowhere in the county, you'd have to go down to the metro area. So I kind of borrowed I have some friends who are on the Thornton Police Department, they have them, and, they swear by it.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
And I apologize, it's good, I don't wanna, so the case law is kind of what I'm interested in. Because it's an investment for a community our size, and I saw this in the packet and I researched it. Is there precedent in Colorado right now that it's that if you pick up somebody, on unrelated stuff with the use of this, that those are admissible, it's not like a Fourth Amendment thing, and I'm asking that out of total ignorance, I'm just trying to, like, if you need to
Make
search.
sure I understand your question.
So like, if you think someone's cell phone is been used, you have to get a search warrant, right?
Right, I'm looking for evidence, so unless I'm going by the Jacobson law, and I don't wanna get into case law on that, because it kind of gets a little complicated when it
Sure.
comes to technology like cell phones, computers. But generally speaking, if I believe there's evidence on the phone, then I can take the phone without a warrant, because there's exigency. But I need now to I need to get a warrant to get into the phone to locate that evidence, if that's what you're asking.
So if my plate shows up as I'm a very bad person, and I'm in front of you at the stop sign, but I'm not doing anything wrong, I stop at the stop sign and then I make my left turn, but my plate shows up, is that okay for you to pull me over?
Sure, I mean. if there's
Whether you're
something-
that I'm a felon,
Yeah, well, no, it's not gonna say that you're a felon. It may say that the registered owner has a felony warrant, or there could be an attached driver that could have a felony warrant, and sometimes we get those, the registered owner is John Smith, however, there's an attached warrant for Emily Smith, so
that's just.
it could, yes, it could be. All I need to stop the vehicle is reasonable suspicion. Is there reasonable suspicion to believe criminal activities afoot? So, yes, the answer is yes.
Okay,
And I can do these things now, I just have to manually do them.
got it.
Versus a piece of equipment telling me, oh, hey, I just ran that plate, you need to go look at it. That's what.
Amanda's bad news, get her.
But see, again, then if you're limited to the scope of where your vehicle is at that time, which is just as trying to run the license plate that's in front of you, if you have reason to do that, as opposed to the consideration that maybe we ought to be considering if it's that valuable to our department and our community to have one.
You have a choke point there at the roundabout.
And I proposed that previously, and I think somebody said, hey, Matt, why don't you get one for the vehicle? And I would certainly propose license plate readers, one focusing 15th Street towards the interstate, one focusing down Argentine towards the lake. Those are really the two entry points to town, with the exception of Grinnell Pass in the summer. But those are the two main, and nobody's gonna commit a crime and go to Grinnell Pass. They're just not gonna risk that.
Summer.
Yeah, so, but certainly that would be a point where, these vehicles would, come into town, even if there's nothing wrong with the plate. And so somebody comes in at 1 AM, then they pass the roundabout and and there's a license plate reader that captures their plate. And I'm like, oh, hey, a burglary occurred last night. Okay, well, let me see between these hours here, this time frame, what vehicles came into town. And then I'm like, okay, that's a plate of interest, and I can program it into the system. If anyone sees this plate, contact and identify the driver. I mean, I can do all that, certainly. And certainly it would be a huge benefit there as well. That was my proposal for next year, that's about a $20,000 investment for that system, but just because we got more cameras going on. than just one. You know?
What it's reliant on where your car is parked though, you know?
And I get it, I truly get it, I do get it.
Yeah, I can see one is, if you're in the vehicle and all of a sudden you're sitting there and it's going off, you know which car that is, you can immediately do something. Whereas the other one, if it's planted, that's more of like a research, you're gonna find out later.
I mean, I
You're
can,
not
I can
going
be,
after that person.
It's
You
an
don't-
investigator tool
Yeah.
at that point, as opposed to where he can be more proactive and it's right in front of him, which isn't being taken away by the opportunity that he has to see that car, to see that license plate and say, gee, isn't that blue for Mustang, maybe you wanted for, because you heard it, you know, on the radio kind of thing. I still am reluctant to pursue this under the current situation that our one-man police department has. It's a great investigative tool. I wanna know why nobody else between Thornton and Grand Junction has them besides state patrol, I would imagine has a clue.
apparently Eagle must have it.
Okay. well,
Somewhere in Eagle, somewhere in Eagle picked it up,
Yeah.
somewhere in Leadville picked it up.
Or more bids.
Well, and we started talking about this after the Seventh Street Bridge got wiped out. Because there was no way to track what vehicle did that damage, because they pulled into town, wrecked the bridge, and then pulled right back out.
I'm not against the investment, but I would maybe like us to not take the whole hit and see if like the sheriff's department would maybe, like the counties may be interested in like.
Or even have one stationary one. I'd like to see the proposals broadened. I'm for the technology. I'd like to see the proposals broadened.
Well, I mean, it's, the sheriff's office they have nothing to do with this. It's, the system would be in our vehicle. If the sheriff's office decided to get their own, then they can tap into the system as well. It's not, oh, hey, you have your system, can we tap into your system? It's not. It, you know, so, and it is budgeted up to $14,000 this year. Anyway, but I agree, the license plate readers at the roundabout would certainly be a great tool as well, and they can also pick up plates and they can send an alert to my phone. To say, hey, this car just passed and this is what's going on.
Stolen vehicle.
Right, and so I mean, I can still be alerted to issues. Even if I'm down in the metro or wherever I'm at, I can get those alerts and, you know, but. And then the greatest benefit to that would be people coming in here in the middle of the night, committing crimes and leaving, and I'm like, sorry, I can't help you because this could be anybody. This is gonna be 100% solvability on this burglary here. But the freak nature of this, to steal a car in Grand Junction, come here, burglarize one house. And flee back to Grand Junction, commit a bunch of crimes on the way back is, you know, it's absurd.
Yeah.
Well, and I think too, I mean, I think this is a great idea. It's kind of like, I get what you're saying, Mary, because it's not something that is always gonna be used, but I think the process gets put out there that we have this in place. That's gotta be worth something, you know, why do we put fake cameras on our house? People see that, they don't know if it's fake or not, so they think, oh, wow, well, I'll stay away from my house.
Or let's walk down a marked car down on our street.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but,
You know, one of the other,
where I'm going with this is so like, take that particular house there that gets robbed. It gets reported because it's somebody living in there. We have so much of our tools stolen all the time. There's so much crime in this town right now that it makes me nervous thinking about it. I've got cameras that are real cameras on my house now, but I also got fake cameras. And point at my job site and that, and it's always the question, we have one officer, he can't do more. We need something in place that just one thing like that, if that solves one issue, it just makes other people aware, because right now they're going, oh, let's go to Georgetown because they only have one officer.
But this is a mobile camera, what I'm bringing up is the possibility and the expansion, but putting it in the reverse order of the stationary camera.
Yeah.
Even if it's
Where you
one
can have-
this year and one next year and the mobile
You
one.
can budget for the rest, add more cameras next year if it's really that.
I think a stationary camera is that a possibility?
is that better?
Is that better?
Yeah, so that would be constantly monitoring, you know?
Was that good for you, or is that like?
No, because when I get a crime, hey, something happened last night in the middle of the night, this is what happened, I'm like, I'll get back to you, go run the system to see, Because not a whole lot of cars are coming through here 1 AM, this is not Colfax, not yet. So we're not getting that many cars, so, you know, we're talking, you know, midnight and 6 AM. You know, what are we, 10 cars coming through, 15?
I'm
Really
seeing
narrow-
Hill.
Easy enough,
Our
to-
camera goes
yeah,
off
easy, yeah,
at the restaurant,
Oh.
because it faces the roundabout.
Yeah.
I mean,
But when he's on duty, it's gonna be two eyes, two sets of eyes.
Yeah.
Wherever the heck he is in the community and the set of eyes, let's just say hypothetically at the roundabout. And so if he's on duty and he gets pinged,
It's right there.
he can go, I mean, we're not there.
so if we looked at
But
it,
just like additional proposals.
I agree.
just Would like to see.
and then also, do we have, you said there's a policy, John, that goes along with this, like,
I'm developing one, it's in the rough stages, but there is a policy that I'm developing. That deals with, information, retainment, you know,
Okay.
where does the information get distributed, who gets to see it?
Yeah.
Things of that nature, which this would be a very, in my view, very restrictive
Yeah.
tool. Unlike you say, hey, somebody got broken, you know, into my restaurant, can you tell me who came by here now? But how about I investigate it for you?
Totally.
So anyway, that's, you know, that kind of policy is what I'm looking at.
I think that if we had a policy as well before the adoption of the technology, just to cover ourselves.
Oh, well, certainly before we implement, I mean, you gotta have this stuff coming.
Yeah,
You know, oh, we're gonna install it next month, and certainly before it gets, you know, brought online, that we have the policy that's already enacted. In force, you know,
I'd like some of those questions answered too, though. I'm on your side. I'm really on your side. I know you don't think I am all the time, but I really am. Yeah, I heard that. I think that we're talking about policy last meeting. We've all, was looking at a policy again now. We're bringing in new technology. There's gonna be questions. We want to be able to have some answers and some responses, prepared responses in our minds as we talk to community members before we go out and approve this purchase. And if we're talking now stationary as opposed to the mobile one, we need a couple of proposals. Why are we going with this company? Any other contract that we bring in here, we are looking at several different bids, at least 3 different bids, unless we totally, you know, utilize the party in the past, and we've got a track record with them. So just to pull this one out of the hat, why their technology as opposed to ABC?
because they're bad together.
Well, and then that's what we want.
In time for this meeting anyway.
Well, then that's on that, you know, so.
So this quote was a little confusing to me because it does keep mentioning 2 cameras. But is it? really only for one?
So, well, no, we would need 2 cameras. We would definitely need 1 point 15th Street towards the interstate, 1 point to the lake.
Okay,
So we definitely need 2 cameras. The difference is gonna be with like the roundabout versus the vehicle, the speed of the camera needs to be a little more. It needs to be faster,
okay.
you know, because there's only, you know, I don't have the camera isn't in contact, isn't in view of the plate as long as it would be on the vehicle. As it is on the roundabout, as they go around the roundabout and quickly pass it, so we need to have a faster camera at the roundabout. There's just a little more.
Okay. I mean, I agree with the idea. I was thinking the same thing when, you know, if you're trying to identify vehicles that are coming and going at specific times, your police car is not everywhere. And so, but if you did it at the roundabout, you could capture almost everything that comes through.
Right.
So, yeah.
'Cause that's basically the 2 points of entry and exit into town.
Mhm. So does that mean? It sounds to me like we need a slightly different quote.
An expanded quote.
Okay,
And I'd like to see that, I'd like to see, know some of the pieces to the policy. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Okay. Next, we have resolution number 6, series 2024, approving disposition, a resolution approving disposition of certain town-owned equipment.
This is John as well.
Hey.
I'm still moving my stuff.
You know, I don't think, no,
Yeah.
He doesn't want to sit by me.
They can, oh, that's. Let's go up here.
Okay.
I was warned about it.
he likes to walk and Hamilton podium.
That's just my stuff, that's stuff. Okay. Go ahead. This is you, John. This is, agenda number 8.
Well, so the sheriff's office approached me a little time, some time ago and asked if they could purchase one of the F-150s. And so they have their vehicles that are all falling apart and they're just trying to keep vehicles on the road. So I said, well, I've got enough vehicles to run a small auto or car sale dealership. And as opposed to allowing these vehicles to sit and rot. Critters to get up in there, start chewing the wires. Some of these wires are soy based, some of the, insulation. And critters love to chew on it. And then it just ruined vehicles. So I thought it was a good idea for $18,000. They would purchase one of the vehicles and minus the radios. Because I can always use extra radios. And that is what this is about. And so the benefit of this, the projected benefit to this is, I have not been called out at 2 AM in quite some time. They take calls for me, unless it's something major, they take calls for me at night. And that allows me to get some degree of rest. And so and this is probably the best rapport we've had with the sheriff's office in quite some time. And if I can continue that and to keep that going, help them, they help me, and we all work together as we should. And so I thought this was a good idea.
Great. Now, are you talking about one of the marked ones
Yes,
or?
The
Okay.
marked one with the half cage.
Okay.
Soul truck.
So, somebody got a motion?
Yeah, we don't have, I mean. I wasn't gonna say a word on this one, but now you just, Chris says that. So we don't have any page card now.
We only have the one cage.
I understand, but so we're getting rid of that one.
We'll get rid of the half cage one.
And we're not saving the cage and putting it in the other one.
No, they need the cage. They're all about cages. And they have policy for cages, and none of our other vehicles have cages. I just have so much stuff in my vehicle that I keep, that I utilize for, various things, that I put the prisoner in the front seat. And having the prisoner in the front seat, to me, minus the cage, is the safest way to go. And I've never had, except for the Charger has a cage, that has a full cage. Never had an issue with a prisoner or maintaining control of a prisoner that way. So,
I think you just unhook them, just let them free reign.
I mean, for 200. So,
Who would like to make that motion?
I wanna make this motion.
Thank you.
Wait, this one's so easy though.
About time.
I move to approve resolution number 6, series 2024.
That's it. I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 6, series 2024. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Next we have discussion item, the ARPA funds.
Do we have any ARPA funds things in our package?
No, I don't hear.
Okay.
About the bleaching stuff.
What, yeah, what about that?
This first, unless we change.
He's right there. Well, I would say you're right.
no, let's.
What is it?
Good job.
Yes, please. Or you can have it.
Okay. Everyone's everything all right?
So the only two things. You don't want, yeah, okay, I think we have enough on this side, well. We got one. Got excellent, we're good.
Jen needs.
General report. I got it, thank you. So. Two things, just to go ahead and make a note, if you want to, on the eligible capital project. On the left-hand side, the last two were item number 10, and number 11, those are incorrect because I did this last week and forgot to update it. So number 10, it says Argentine street light replacement, that should be $7,995, not $20,000. So make a note there.
We approved that already.
And Strauss Park parking lot is not 30,000, it's $34,760. So I was close.
What was our- Oh, one I know.
Yeah, I was estimating, this was, last week or so.
Yeah.
Or before Bob gave me his numbers. So anyways, okay, these are the eligible projects, these are capital projects that Jerry has determined, these are eligible, these are perfect because they're capital. So the first one, you've already purchased. Yeah. Second one, you have authorized to purchase, however, they're updating that quote, and so I'm gonna probably have a different quote. We did approve 24,000, but I think it's gonna be more now that they're diagnosing the whole thing, so stay tuned.
Like 26 or 32?
I don't know.
Okay, copy.
Yeah, I don't, it would be more than 24, that's all I know. So now, and we have looked at the commercial snowplow for a Dodge vehicle, which was, again, just the setup for Dodge. The plow can be used for any truck, and then it's an installation attachment, yeah, correct. So those were the same cost for the Ford as well. Commercial sander, we do have a sander, but it's on its last leg, the motor has been rebuilt so many times that I believe it's actually being held by, just plastic ties. So, but anyways, that is $8,000. Truck, this is coming from the the capital improvement plan that Steve Robbie put together, and he added a truck for us to think through the next 5 years, knowing that most likely Road and Bridge is gonna need another truck, so that's where this came from. 75,000. A used Coast Guard rescue boat, this is, John, this quote is actually.
Water thing?
Yeah, I was gonna go over that in my report. I should just go over my report. I was gonna go over that in my report again.
So the quote here is, I had, again, 19,000, it's not 19,000, the one that John's actually proposing is more like $1,400. So it's much cheaper than what we anticipate, so please make a note of that.
And the fire department has a boat.
Yes, the fire department, I spoke to Kelly today, that's a good point. Kelly told me that he is willing to house the boat here. Like we had talked about, even in temporary, we were gonna use the warming hut. We could store the boat here and be ready at all times. And I even talked to Kelly and said, I know that you guys use this for rescues, but what I envision for the boat that we were wanting to purchase is that if we have events, we would have John out there on the boat for an event, just to make sure our things are safe, if he wants to do that. He has no problem with that, he would just want to make sure that John takes the necessary course for boat safety. For rescue safety, it's a training thing that he would want you to do, and then we would be able to use the boat at any time. The boat that could be still.
Be stored down there?
Correct. Yeah, the warming hut, until we decide what I think what he suggests is if we can get like a 20-foot Conex box and dedicate it for a boat and ice rescue kind of things that the fire department could keep in there too for easy access.
How many boats does CCFA have? Do we know? I mean, is it just one?
Just the one. Is it, have you seen the boat?
I have, it's a yellow inflatable. It holds 2 people and then they can go out and rescue
Is
someone.
the Coast Guard boat better?
How does that
It
compare?
would be, yeah, it would be better,
It's not inflatable, is it?
The Coast Guard, yeah, this would be an inflatable boat, yeah. It would just be, and that is, and some of them are Coast Guard rated boats, I mean, not necessarily a Coast Guard boat. Because then they get a little more expensive, you're talking about a hull with an inflatable, bow and stern that wrap around. And, but you know, this could be an inflatable boat that we could deploy with a small engine on it. And get out there for this water rescue this past Sunday, could have been much faster. And we had a boat down there ready to go. So, and that's what we're looking at. Thank God he had the PFD on, because if he didn't have a PFD, he wouldn't have made it. I couldn't have gone out there. I was too tired. And I don't think I could have battled the cold. So, and I hate to see things like that, so I tend to go out there. So anyway, yeah.
Some correct question, if it's on the water, when the boat is on the water, does it fit under the bridge?
Yes, ma'am. It
So
would fit on the bridge.
Okay.
We won't,
We
put it
could
wrong.
drop down a conic spot at the bottom out, so you can just back in. Just to have it on the water, have it in the water.
It would be somewhere right at the shoreline where you could grab the front of the boat, pull it right into the water and go. It's not that heavy that it can't be pulled, but we want to do some sort of landscaping so that we're not running over rocks and sharp objects with it.
Well, that was just what I was gonna suggest, was I wondered if there would be, it would be a good idea to make tracks or a ramp or some sort of.
No, it would definitely have.
Right out of the warming hut, right into the lake.
Well, and that's what I proposed in the past, is go from, it's got 2 garage doors, you could access it from both the front and the back.
Right.
You know, if you needed to pull up something out for maintenance or something, but then the front opens up and you deploy it right into the water.
Right.
And you're probably midsection between the dam and the, you know, the lagoon pedestrian bridge on this side. And so quick access, which most of the water rescues would probably be on the main section anyway. So it's just a good point to have a boat.
I know, we have no safety or any kind of rescue equipment down by that lake whatsoever. There isn't even a rig on the bridge that you can throw.
Yeah, it's gonna get.
So I mean, we really ought to like ramp up, because I gotta, you know, that lake is becoming more and more popular.
So why not use the fire authority boat and use the money, get some of this money to make the warming, well, but why not? We don't use the warming hut for anything else, why wouldn't we use that and let?
Well, I thought you were
fire
gonna
department
dress in.
Store?
And they do that in parking lots.
And make it so that it's got the easy access, and if we have to make a
Cause
ramp.
9 times out of 10 seconds count.
Well, which
Like,
one?
No, I was on my way to Empire and I hadn't gotten on the highway and I drove by right when it happened and my kids were hysterical. They were like, is that person dead? Is that person dead? I was like, I don't think so. I hope not. But it was, I mean.
The cold takes, I was
Yeah.
in there one year for 13 minutes. It took 3.5 hours to get my vitals back up to where they should be.
Yeah.
It,
Both are
it's-
important. We need
it
a
does
boat.
not take long, people don't understand.
Which would you rather have? Which boat?
The fire department boat would be difficult for one person to operate, I think. So we'd have to have like the one I proposed here for 1,400. That one person could easily operate, and another thing is the fire department boat's kind of narrow. So if one person is out there trying to bring in another person, that could flip over. Like, you know, I could just see it.
Okay.
So we just need a wider boat that could lean over, pull somebody up without the threat of that boat flipping over, and now 2 people are in the water.
I see that as a better option.
Yeah.
I did too.
They want for 1,400.
1,400.
Only fucking 20, right?
Yeah.
1,400.
Exactly.
Just over.
Who were the sounds?
Yes, man, we're not
Not
talking.
the 90,000.
No, that was the,
Hey.
Okay, yeah. So there's a lot of discussion going on all over the table. Probably should have just one at a time, please.
I have great ideas.
How about the motor though? This doesn't include motors.
oh, we'd have to get money, yes,
I know.
ma'am. You're talking about that, we're talking about $900 for a motor or less, for a motor the size we need.
You get to go to the UK to pick it up, or is that in the delivery?
Well, that's just an example one. I would definitely go to the UK though to get it, and then so quick we could sell it back, so.
And they offer boat training there too, and so you have to spend some extra time there.
It's a very needed trip for both of us.
Thank you very much, so.
Oh, you don't get to go.
That was the thing together.
Anybody have comments?
I do, I would like to see if we work with the fire department on this stuff. figure out where we can, how we're gonna store it. Work with the fire department, because that's a summer rescue vehicle, but they do a lot of ice training, there's a lot of issues that come up with that. Which is another 6 months of the year, and I would like to see a whole package. That where we're working with them, where we're storing this stuff, where we're storing the ice rescue stuff, and they're not having to haul that stuff back and forth either.
But we would still buy the boat now.
What's that?
We would still buy the boat.
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
But
Okay,
I would like to see it go a step farther, because they're requiring John to have a training. My guess is they could have that same training with all their staff also, and benefit. You know, like,
And they may well-
what if John's not available and they come up, then they should be able to be trained, be able to take the boat out.
I noticed they were there this last weekend.
Yeah, they were, they arrived, fairly quick.
Yeah.
So they were on scene and they were able to get out there, but, yeah. And it's not
I
always
see it as a great way to collaborate with the fire department. And
Well, they were big fans of this when we spoke about it. They love the idea. So we don't have to sell it. They would immediately want to partner. They liked it.
Off of this too, I mean, what is, because now that we obviously get more stuff, the lake says no swimming, but you get on a paddle board. You should wear a life jacket and people hang them on the boats. What's our liability for the town is we need more some place to see more of this, because you can't go swimming lake. Obviously, I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, no, it was.
No, I've actually.
Liability for the-
Kayak and had to sort of show it on pros to that. But how's the town protected from that? Because.
Well, so we go by Title 33 when it comes to enforcing laws dealing with vessels. And that says you have to have the PFD on the boat, not on. And so we're covered by that because we're going by state law on that. And I don't see why we should deviate necessarily, because if somebody goes from this lake to that lake to that lake, then, they shouldn't have to worry about, or come to this lake. Well, the rules on every other lake are this.
But what about us better explaining people's safety issues? I said that too. So what can we do to better, get people to better understand the consequences of being in that lake?
Signage.
Well, there's signage over on the trail on the opposite side.
that was put into our code years ago.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I think we are shielded people.
People would go, hey, it's a good idea to have a life jacket on.
Yeah, we have.
It's required, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But again, with this boat not just being used for rescue situations, this is gonna enable him and look into the price of it, and I'm serious about this. An electric motor for when you're not necessarily trying to do the, if you're out there for an event kind of thing.
Right, I mean, we have more vessels. I mean, I think I counted at max last year, 17 vessels on the water.
But if he's out there just patrolling and enforcing or having an educational time and saying, you know what? You're supposed to have you don't have to wear it, but you're supposed to have it with you. Paddle your little board back to shore.
Yeah, I mean, people have died in the lake and it's usually from not having a life jacket on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's, yeah, I get that it's not
drinking.
covered, but it's protection of people.
Yeah.
That's why we enforce the alcohol law on the lake pretty aggressively, to maintain that, we haven't had a drowning since 2016. So we like to keep it that way. Yeah, there was a time when it was just about every year we had a drowning. And so, we just want to keep no drownings. That's just, it's hard to.
So.
And the Division of Wildlife, because I know they partner with you a lot. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Colorado Parks and Wildlife now, but yeah.
And I'm gonna include them in the conversation tonight.
Okay,
Well, yeah, I mean, but they're very rarely up here. Like Joe takes over, he'll go to Fairplay. He'll go over to Hartselle. So we really can't rely on them as being partners in rescue operations. They partner for the wildlife, assisting with wildlife enforcement and things of that nature. And we
One
appreciate
of
it.
the fellows living in the apartments.
No, Joe moved to, Idaho Springs.
I'm living there.
so as an item on our list of possible ARPA funds, can we bring it back? So rather than discuss the operational minutia, I think it's a good plan. So leave it on the list. I think it's a good expense. But we might wanna add the storage if we're not going to put it in the warming hut and building a ramp if we need to do that. So, if we could investigate costs for that.
I like the warming hut idea, I think it looks a little bit nice.
So,
Well, I mean, I'm not necessarily asking for any of these right now, it's just discussion.
I think we
so-
need to say yes to the vote right now.
Yeah, but the boat is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we are approaching summer, and we don't know how long it's gonna take to get this boat.
You're right, I'll have to, yeah, that'll,
can we figure that out by next meeting? Just,
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
if possible. Yeah.
Yes, and
I mean, the sooner the better.
Right, tickets to Hawaii, get it.
Okay,
You
Okay,
get that out.
okay, moving on.
moving on.
England and Hawaii?
Well, we good.
Moving on.
Design plans and bidding package for the mitigation for the rock wall. It's a total of $13,830.20 to be split between the town of Georgetown and History, Colorado.
And the rock wall they're talking about is on Loop Drive.
So this is this qualifies. And so this is something that has to get done. This is still the plan. This is not the mitigation part. The mitigation is, the constructing, that will most likely be probably over $100,000. But this is the plan for them to go forward and come up with the cost for us, what it's gonna cost. History Colorado is completely committed to this, paying their 50%, but it is an expense that I think it's important for us to consider, because right now, we don't have anything in the budget right now that would cover that, and this is something that came up in discussion when Mark Grable asked me to meet with him, because he had concerns about, certain rock areas along that Loop Drive. And he was very concerned that if anything were to happen, it affects his livelihood and it affects Georgetown.
Yeah.
Because our economy is very tied to that.
Mhm.
So he was very concerned, and so that's that one. Does any questions? Yes.
We are already doing that.
No, this is a second part. They came up with the design, but now there's a second part of the design that still needs more work. This is not the same as what we've already done.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just clarifying that.
Okay.
Number 9. This is an idea that came out of Business Promotion Commission this last meeting. And we kind of talked about it last, well, not here. I've been talking to those who are part of it. I'm like, gosh, instead of getting generators to keep doing this, wouldn't it be great to have a pole? So this is where this idea came from, a power pole at the Hotel de Paris parking lot for Christmas market, tent, electricity, and other vendors, who are using so to have a pole would be an essential part, since now that we're doing this as a mainstay for the big tent nut area. Any questions about that? And 20 grand was just an estimate. Bob could help me with that.
Yeah, I think that's probably the ballpark. It won't be cheap because it'll need to be commercial.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
but it's important, I think.
What was our total ARPA funds?
164,000. No, 260,000.
So this is worth 265 of this whole. list.
Yeah, we've already spent about 100,000. Because we bought the skidster and we've already allocated funds for the motor grader.
So we have 165 left.
Yeah, what's outside of that?
No.
Correct. Argentine Street light replacement, Bob discussed that today, so that has dropped significantly than what I anticipated in the beginning. So that's something
That's just materials. If you need to hire an electrician to put them in, it's like, turn that, yes,
okay.
then that'll be an additional cost.
Okay. So we're still in the process, we're not finalized on that one. And then Strauss Park parking lot is something that you guys discussed, you liked option B. And that's $34,760. So that's still another option, an eligible option because it's countable. Any questions about any of those topics?
Well, so stuff that we need to get moving on is, like we kind of said, the boat, right? The rock wall, we kind of have to get moving on.
But that includes,
We can probably stave off the snow plows, although it is only May 14, so.
What is this kind of-
Too hasty.
Oh, this is snowplow by a month.
Is it, do you get two per minimum?
I got the clearance coupons in the mail.
That's the odd one. So if we knock off another 8,000 and then 34,000 is what we approved. For the parking lot, that leaves us with. A pool. Yeah, 121,
Something like that.
yeah. So.
So we have great projects for us to think about. I know if we whittle this down, should we go to the possible projects?
Yeah.
Okay, so possible still means that there's potential for us to do childcare initiatives. That's, we talked about $7,000, but it's probably not
That's dead this summer.
dead. Okay, all right, well, let's scratch that. Affordable housing, multi-jurisdictional housing authority. We're still in the process. We had a meeting this morning, Lynette and I and Kasia were there. We had a managers, mayors, elected officials meeting, commissioners. And they're ready to send us the draft. what is it? IGA, thank you. And it'll spell out the details of what they're gonna be asking municipalities to contribute to this. We kind of anticipated $30,000, it's probably gonna be around that, is what they're gonna be asking for, but that's gonna be what, a yearly contribution? We also, keep in mind, we have a lodging tax fund that we've divided in two categories, and one, we've had pulling up money for this too. So whether it comes out of this or not, we have money for this. The third one, we've discussed, downtown business incentive program in order to help economic development. I know it's important to have business promotion commission. Business promotion commission is not necessarily tied to economic development, it's more promoting current businesses and marketing or doing events. However, we've had a desire to fill our storefronts and trying to create, this could be a program that we can create in order to attract the kind of businesses that we want. The next one would be a facade enhancement. This would be a potential program that people could apply for, and it would be specific funds that could address exterior components to buildings, paint, windows, lighting, and things like that. I don't know if this is technically how you spell it, but I put CLOMAR. This is the type of study that has to be done if we want to pursue affordable housing in the mill site area. We own the town owns 3 lots there. Earlier last year, when I had some engineering firms come out and do an assessment, all 3 confirmed that this would require CLOMAR studies. That means it's in the floodway and not just the floodplain. The floodplain is when the water swells up and spills over. The floodway is the path that it goes down. 2 of our properties, 2 out of the 3 are in the floodway. And so it would require a special study that we'd have to do to show how we would not create rising of the flood, that our building wouldn't create more of a rise. And it would spell out exactly what we would have to do to build in the floodway. Normally, it's frowned upon because it's pretty expensive. However, I anticipate $10,000 for that study. So it's not super unreasonable. However, we don't know what it's gonna come out of that, or they're gonna say, but we could move forward and say, we'd like to build with that.
but from that study, they could turn around and say, this is what you have to do. And then
Yeah.
we wouldn't be able to follow through with that.
Typically, it's a path or accommodation is what they're looking for in that point.
Houses like Richmond.
So it's a way for the water to get through. It's becoming more common now on how to do that, and it's becoming less expensive because people are doing it, and it's much better.
Yeah, sometimes it's flood vents that they put in that country, or it's stilts that you go higher, so the water just goes right through. No basement, those kind of things, but
How many units were we hoping for over there?
4 per lot.
12.
Total.
Just to put some relation to the
Yeah.
expense.
And then number 6 was 2 diesel exhaust systems for the fire department. This would be something that, we would be partnering with the fire department to get, some capital that they need, that they don't have. Or it would allow them not to use their surplus money. We would help, because the more they don't dip into that, the farther it goes. And then the last one is just, we're talking about building a new town hall. We're still in the process of, working with Excel to purchase the lot. That's not finalized, it's still through committees. It's been through committees since October, and they're still moving through. The last update I had was a month ago where they said there's no problems with the request. It's a formality and they're still working through. However, once we get that, we need to get plans, engineering plans for that. So that's why I put 100,000. That's a speculation. It could be a lot more than that. When I started talking to some other engineering firms, they're like $700 or 700,000. I was like, no, we wouldn't go with it. So, that's the other possible projects. And then the far right is ineligible projects. They don't meet the criteria for, ARPA funds.
Okay.
So that's where we are.
Okay,
So what if we saw that maybe the safety issue and partnering with the fire department, not getting those exhaust systems, that also, those will be used in the Georgetown
So,
station.
facility might be, a higher priority, at least to me, than the power pole for the Christmas market, and that could possibly be paid for with lodging tax funds too, because that's a promotion, yes. To me, that safety issue would override the power pole. I know there's $20,000 difference there, but, that's how I'm kind of feeling right now.
More safety oriented.
Absolutely. And again, it's showing good faith in supporting our firefighters and getting paid firefighters in that.
Our police department is also at that building, so,
Yes.
I mean, it's health protection.
Yeah.
it's a healthy.
Okay.
But
So
to
we
be
don't-
clear, sorry,
Oh, no, no,
are we moving forward with the Strauss Park vote?
Oh,
Like that we picked, is that what or do we wanna dial it back to preserve funds? I know I didn't realize where we were at when we voted on.
my question was, we're taking out a good chunk of change, or let's be moving forward at least with the rescue vote.
The rescue vote is, that's $20 million.
Well, it's gonna end up being more than that, but.
Right.
But I want, that's a given, right? We're gonna be feeling that way. So so we're whittling this number down.
So should we make a motion to approve that rescue vote for 3,000 up to 3,500 or something?
No, let's.
You can make a decision under 10.
Oh, that's right, we don't need to.
But yeah, I was gonna say, why don't he's gonna bring back more information
Yeah.
next time, so we don't have to make a decision.
Okay, plan.
You're getting a vote.
Sorry, mostly.
Is that like buying a zoo?
So but considering the fact that we did approve under the Strauss Park refresh action item, we approved expense that now could be taken out of Strauss Park parking lot. It is more than 10,000. Do we need to approve that? And do we want to approve anything else at this point in time?
Take a light pole and place some money out of there too.
Yeah.
But that's
Okay.
No, I thought that was already covered in the.
This is the parts for the.
Oh, for our.
Yeah.
Sorry.
To roundabout towards, yeah, so,
I left the parking lot thing too,
Okay.
still gonna finish throughout the park.
yep. Okay,
Okay, so I have the boat. Did we say the lighting?
Mhm.
Okay, so that's number 10, number 11 also, and then number 6 on this possible project. The 2 diesel exhaust systems.
Kate has something.
I just wanted to remind the board the planning commission hasn't had an opportunity to weigh in. You asked me to ask the commissions about ARPA funds, and I just want to
Okay.
remind you that the planning commission hasn't had an opportunity to look at it.
Okay.
I think we should hold on the diesel exhaust.
Yeah, I think we should hold off until the fire
Okay.
department talks about it.
Okay,
Oh, yeah, I figures out the whole,
Maybe there's.
I would just like to see it moved over so that it is.
Yeah, higher, very well.
Okay, I'll move it to the eligible project.
Yeah.
Possibilities,
yeah, let's move it over so.
okay.
Now, that's your time.
Okay.
The meeting.
I mean, are we done? We're
Yeah.
done with this part?
Get up on that.
Yep.
You got that?
So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rocks. Actually, not.
I'm gonna start talking about my plan to become a dry camp.
Also, I know.
Yeah, but they're not gonna be buying
China. No good for you.
All right, let me go over this here. I was approached by a citizen some time ago who had an idea to bring awareness to the benefit of wearing helmets to the young people who are riding multiple modes of transportation up and down Sixth Street, some without helmets. The idea was to give everyone who was wearing a helmet $1 so that it would encourage those who were not wearing a helmet to procure one, or he had access to helmets that we could give out to those who could not either afford it or didn't have access to it. So I am going to implement that this summer, and see how that works.
Would you get $2 to the school and talk about that?
Yes, yes,
Sounds like a Monday morning meeting, perhaps.
sure. We don't have too many of those left.
Got one,
This,
two, no, one. Got one meeting left Monday.
right, so Monday I'll get to school.
Track on how many kids you give $1 to, so you don't give one kid $2 versus two different incidents.
Well, actually,
Connor's gonna change
I'm
his.
hoping I can recognize them by,
Hopefully.
it's like names are not great. Right. It is kind of the cornerstone philosophy. I've spoken before on developing partnerships with the community, and that this is in aligns with that. Develop partnerships to where the community approaches the police department and says, hey, I have an idea, this will help, whatever. And then we work together to implement it. So I think this falls in line with that policy that I spoke of not too long ago, probably the last meeting. Snowstorm that hit area on April 23rd caused little to no issues in Georgetown. I wasn't happy about the snow. But no other issues. The one on May 7th resulted in closure of the highway, but no issues in town. So that was good news. Next, Ms. Hill and myself have been working, and I've been working on the policy. This is the internal affairs policy, section 1K, standard operating guidelines for the Georgetown Police Department. And I believe you have that attached to my report. It expands definitions with suspicions of criminal and professional misconduct by members of the police. The second part covers grounds and procedures for disciplinary action, applying the definitions to various courses of disciplinary action as it relates to the severity of the allegation and the outcome of the investigation. So there are multiple avenues, depending on what the allegation, what the outcome of the investigation is, which avenue is best. So it's not like a dead end where you reach a precipice and you're like, where do we go from here? This has all the different types of avenues that can be taken to correct the issue up to termination.
Has this been had legal audit on it, or is this a recommended policy verbiage from Colorado Association of Chiefs of Police or international, or how did those sections?
I need to know that from other agency policy on internal affairs. That have specific and a more defined internal affairs division where obviously the Georgetown Police does not. But yes, it was extrapolated from that.
But do we put legalize on it? I don't know if it's Jerry, I pointed Jerry.
I mean,
or
I can-
sources.
I haven't seen.
You have not.
it should be in the packet.
No, I know it's in the back.
Oh, okay.
So I haven't been asked.
This,
But so when we're implementing or.
we literally got done with this on Friday. And I brought it over here and attached my report and it went into the packet. So it hasn't been sitting around.
But my concern isn't what you put together on Friday, and I'm going to hope that we don't have to use any of that policy
Right.
until we get it reviewed by other powers, so that from the town's standpoint, from the board standpoint, we know how you are operating and how your department, as it goes back to whatever more people, you know, like CYA, that's what I'm concerned about. Okay, I'm glad you're working on these policies. I certainly don't feel like I can sign off on this policy, but that's why I wanna know what are the steps you're taking so
I
that.
mean, we can have, I mean, whomever, if you've had experience in looking at it, I could pass it off to the district attorney's office, they'll sign off on it. I just wanted to have it, so this is the finished draft of what we have been working on for quite some time. So that you guys can read it and understand it, and then if you have questions, maybe we can get somebody to look at it, but at the next meeting you have questions, once you've had time to look at it, then, we can address them.
So we'll get feedback from our legal department before this.
I review things like that for
Okay,
our municipal plants all the time, but I need them ahead so that I can review. Very often they're cut and pasted from places.
I know that, but let's make sure that they're cut and pasted from
Yeah,
the
exactly.
most
Sometimes
current.
that cut and paste
Yeah.
isn't really good. out.
Right, and then there's the process,
Yeah.
that you're involved in the process, I think that's
Yeah.
the point, right?
Okay.
See how you part.
That hurt for all of us, I mean, for the police department and for the board and the town. Can you get us a list of, like, your table of contents on your policies that you're starting to update? Because I know you're putting eyes on all of them, and some of them need to be updated. But so that we can see.
We've updated quite a bit, in fact, we've updated most of the policy manual, I can do table of contents, or I can do the whole policy manual, a single manual. That can be passed around, but I can do the table of contents, and attach it to the next report. So that you can see where we're at and what we've done. I mean, you may not understand the changes we've made in the old policy because you don't have anything to reference. But we've made quite a few changes and made quite a few updates to it. And so I can certainly give you a table of contents.
So maybe Jerry, can you let us know how best we should be addressing this?
Sure.
Probably not tonight, but
Yeah, I mean, I need to review it and likely will require some changes and it can be teed up for the board's approval. Typically, these things are administrative policies, that aren't like in the code book. But they trigger, as you absolutely point out, liability concerns, number one. Number two, just sort of, is this how we want our police department to be operating? It might be how they want to, but they don't get to make that final decision. You do. The board makes those, yeah, and there will be some things that probably I'll recommend that would be changes to that. But from a process standpoint, sure, as long as I can get a Word version of it, so I can actually be effective in reviewing it. I can do that.
Highlight stuff, change and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think that would be valuable.
Yeah, and once at the staff level, that we're on the same page, then I think it comes to you with maybe some overarching kind of policy concerns that we do or do not want our department to be doing this. They want to, but we think that's not right. I don't know how many of those there will be, but a few. So the starting point is reviewing it, and I can do that.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jerry.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks, John.
Anything else for us, John?
Okay, moving on. I mean, so this was, you understand, this was what we've been working on. And this is the completed version. So that you can see, Jerry can see, and then go from there, but this is what we've been working on, because what was brought to me was, there was a dead end in the policy. There was a page, and from that page, it was so ambiguous, you didn't know which way to go. This is what we've done to correct that. You know, I didn't say, you know, this is the version to go with, this is the 10 commandments of the policy. I mean, so anyway, I just wanted the whole board to understand what we've been working on. And so we've got to where we have finished it, now it moves on to the next process and the next process and until it's complete. So that's what this was about.
Okay.
All right, so what was gonna be attached is this here 24 monthly report from JEFCOM. It had so many discrepancies in it. It was bad information. So I did not include it in this report. It'll be they've corrected the issues, I believe. Let's keep it. So it'll be in for the next time. However, I did get a report from JEFCOM that differentiates between who answered various calls in town. That is not a service they provide. And I was told that we don't do that. We don't tailor services to one particular agency. We'll do it this time, but don't expect it in the future. So I'll go over this time. We've had for April 34 calls. Georgetown, my response to 12. The Clear Creek Sheriff's Office responded to 12. Both myself and the Clear Creek Sheriff's Office responded to 5. Myself, Sheriff's Office in Idaho Springs responded to 1. Sheriff's Office in Idaho Springs responded to 3, and then Empire responded to 1. So anyway, that's the breakdown of April's health services.
Is this, I mean, I don't wanna put this on you, but can we be like, hey, JEFCOM, could you help us with this? Like, is that?
I asked them, but their response was, we don't do special services for one agency, so the answer was no. They won't, so the monthly report should break down this, not so succinctly. You'll have to go through the report and look at the information. For example, here's Golden Gate Fire Department has 1 page, Georgetown Police will have 1 page, the Sheriff's Office will have 1 page. And you can kind of see what the call volume is like. There's 1 page where it has all of Clear Creek's response, the law enforcement side of things. And so it'll be an in-depth report. It's 38 pages long, I believe. So it'll be in the next time.
So internally though, are you able to, or can you plan to do, let's just use these 12 calls, 5 of them with thefts, 2 were robberies, 4 more vehicle accidents, you know, and give us that breakdown in that
I
respect?
can certainly try. I can try. That's
Well, I'm
not
sorry,
something
phone calls are gonna be extremely tough for someone to put some
Yeah, let me see.
marks afterwards.
Yeah.
I mean, this is justification at the end of the year when we're saying how many police officers we want on our department and why we need a code enforcement officer in the police department.
It'll go over, like, what are the top problems? For Lakewood PD, there's a welfare check, 464 of those. Unwanted party, 350, 313 disturbances. So it'll be a breakdown like that.
Okay.
It's just, they had Clear Creek's information all messed up. And so that would have been the point of presenting you with bad information.
Okay.
So, that should answer all your questions. It's a fairly in-depth report.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank you.
thank you.
Spoke about the burglary on Main Street, spoke about the rescue on the lake. I did get called out last night, there was another semi running over things in town. So I was able to catch that semi and, issue a summons order, for the driving. Anyway, I'm gonna work with CDOT because I believe the sign that's 2 miles down the road says rest area, 2 miles. And it doesn't differentiate between that, truckers see it, and they're like, a rest area, I need a rest area to stop. And, it's not that kind of rest area, but they think that it is, and they come into town, and that's where we have the problem, so I'm gonna have CFC Doc can put a sign underneath, no driving. And maybe eliminate this issue.
Or right there at the stop sign where they've come off, that says,
Yeah,
because then they can just continue back
I'm
up.
kind of continue back on, so I wanna see if they'll put a sign somewhere and say, this is not a rest area for trucks. And then, eliminate these issues that we have from time to time.
However, they also used to, I mean, if a truck pulled off, they sometimes parked them on the ramps. And then they walk in to the rest area.
Right, they don't drive over
Right.
cars or whatever it is, they're trying to get there, so, so anyway, that's the plan for that. And then, someone asked me to break down or quantify time marshal duties versus patrol. And I based it on an approximate 110 hours every 2 weeks that I work, at least. And so marshal duties accounted for approximately 72% of that, patrol duties 28%. Sleep about 3%. And that includes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, John.
Okay. Assistant Town Administrator, please, you're up.
You know, so I told you last time I'd bring HB 211110 quotes to you. However, I do have all of those quotes, but SIPA released a micro grant that can pay up to $10,000, no match, so I applied for that. Which I was told afterwards that I need to ask you about in the future, sorry about that. It's no match though, so, and so they're supposed to let me know about that mid-June. So Rick and I decided to table it until we get that grant information back so that we can tell you if we actually need to spend money on that, so. But I am still working on mitigation things that we can do as a town. There's a planning commission meeting tomorrow. We are reviewing the comprehensive plan. The section of the comprehensive plan that we're reviewing tomorrow is a place where people live. So I'd just like to invite everybody to that discussion if you're interested, because all of you have a lot more context on that comprehensive plan than I do. But I have had some good discussions and I do have a report on that. So hopefully that will be a good conversation. And then everything else is, my sort of normal DRC, planning commission, code enforcement, special projects, that kind of stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Last but not least. I know you're all tired and I only have an hour and so. Rich didn't think that's funny.
You are recording.
I know you've seen the report. I just want to bring to your attention a couple things. So Excel last week, the weather was crazy. And so we've had snow, we've had cold. It was just really difficult weather to do a lot of things. And so they were planning to dam off the area that's by the dam. I don't know a way to say it better than that, but they were trying to dam off an area to put a coffer box, a weir box down into they had to lower the water was having trouble discharging the way they wanted, so they opened up the gate, they're having pumps pump out the water, it was creating hectic on our water system, and so Ryan was frustrated because you got to give him notice so that he can shut down the plants. I mean, I guess Rob knows this more than anybody, but it was very difficult. And so we finally got them to work out system, but they were using sandbags to try to create a deviation area so they can put a coffer box in. It took them all week to do this. And the dam sandbags that they created kept collapsing because the water was, and it wasn't even spring runoff, it was just, you would think good times because it was cold and windy, however, it was not cooperating. They had difficulty all week. The good thing about it is they are notifying us, so that has not happened. It was off and on if they're doing notifications, even though the watershed protection permit did require them to give notifications. And then there was a big, they did release a lot of water, and without telling us, and so it did send the team down at the water plant in chaos. They had to do 52 backwashes in order to try to get back on par. This is time that they could be doing other things, but now they're, like Ryan right now is at the water plant because the system is in haywire again, and he's gonna be there all night long because they screwed up, Excel screwed up today. They released, the crew, it's called North Star, who's installing all these things. They installed it and left, and then me and Ryan went up there for 3 hours examining what's going on, and it looks terrible. And so we called the plant manager, we called Ari, the project manager, we called Christine Johnson, the environmental person. We called everyone and finally got people's attention, but it's not working according to plan. So the coffer box was not put in further, so what's happened is the water's going underneath the coffer box and it's stirring it up, a constant stir, and then all that water's going downhill. And now, the plant will have to shut down if the turbidity in the water is greater than 0.30, and it's been sitting around 0.50 the whole time. And sometimes it surges higher than that, but we can't run the plant if it's greater than 0.3.
How your storage tanks?
We're fine with that, so, but
Get some time.
yeah, we have some time, we're okay, but it's been very hectic and frustrating for our city crew to be able to work on this. I've been on the phone with Excel all day long. I went up there multiple times. In fact, I was to have a meeting with Amanda and I'm running late to even have your meeting. And then I went right back up there to meet with them. So just keeping you abreast on the situation. Their plan was to come back Friday and then try to fix the copper box so that they can push it down further. So that the water's supposed to go over that and then the sediment's supposed to fall there. And then as it falls, then it can go through the gates. So it reduces the amount of sediment in the water. And then the second part is the trash rack. It was a 1-inch hole screen and they changed it to a 3-inch hole screen. Well, they didn't set it correctly. It's all kiltered and they just left it. And so we flagged all that and Ryan's basically demanding them to come tomorrow, not Friday, to fix this.
Okay.
We need to get this done now. So that's just to keep you posted on that. Let me think what else. It's worth highlighting. The crews have been, our team has been working hard. I'm very proud of them. I know Kate has been working hard on a lot of these. She had a lot of these ordinances and stuff to work on. But John and I talk every day. He comes to my office, we talk through whatever's going on, and we're doing our best. There's code enforcement issues that we're working on. The last thing I'll update you on is the rock wall that's sticking out on Main Street. I did send a notice last week. The owner did contact me today. I went over there and his plan is to remove all the rock along, the road that's in the town's right of way. There's huge boulders that were there before. I'm not asking him to move the boulders because they're huge and they were there before he was there. But I am asking him to move all the rock that was placed there. So that's gonna be removed. I gave him 2 months. The code says if we don't talk about this, then he has 1 month. But I'm usually open to negotiate with him so they have more time to do it. He is gonna get it done way before that, but I just said, listen, can we work out a plan? And he said, yes. It's the same thing we did with all the other issues that can we work through something together, and that usually it's a good relationship between the situation. But he's supposed to get a lot of it done this weekend, so his plan is to get it done. He has no problems. He's not mad. He's not upset. He's just sad that he has to move it. But it does stick really far out into the main street. So anyways, do you guys have any questions for me?
On number 10,
The task force.
the chapter,
Yes.
we have unrestricted in your comments,
Yeah,
is that correct?
yes.
Okay,
Okay, so,
so I want to say, you're gonna say anything.
yes, do you want me to go into more details than that?
I'm fine with that,
Okay.
because everybody else is.
No, that is correct, it's unrestricted, that's what he has finally come to terms, that's why, probably what his next steps can be. Yeah.
Thank you.
I know, that's,
Just want to tell you.
okay, that's all I have.
All right. Does anyone have, well, we got executive session, anything to be brought to the board? Before we do that, okay, excellent. Okay, we're getting on to the motion, okay. Go for it, Dwayne.
I'm going to go into executive session or CIS 24-6/403 and E for a conference with the town attorney, town administrator, and appropriate staff. To receive legal advice on and instruct negotiators on litigation between the town of Georgetown and Capital Prize Mine number 5.
Second.
You're so fast. I call the move to adjourn the board meeting at the conclusion of the executive session.
Second again.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to go into executive session. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'll take 5 minutes.
Okay.